This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
I think it's awful what some of the things I've seen about the officiating, and Scott Foster in particular.
Mid-range jumper is short. Rebound, Fever. Cunningham got knocked to the floor. Caitlin pulls left wing. Buries it. She is back. Caitlin now from the right wing. 30-plus feet. Good again. On the left sideline. Caitlin wants it. To Dantas. Handoff. Caitlin from the logo. Crosses over. Launches. Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding?
Perry had his stick lifted. Lost the read and clears for the empty net. Score! And that silences the crowd here in Edmonton.
Want to cozy it up. Don't need to make it. 2 putts.
This would be a big box to check. Kyle Kirkwood off of turn number 2, trying to win on an oval for the first time, Mark. A half a lap to go here in St. Louis.
I'll tell you what, Paddle Ward is coming. I just think he's going to run out of time, though. He has shaved it down to 0.4 of a second as he tries to clear lap traffic. Paddle Ward with a strong run off of turn number 4, but he's not going to have enough time. Kyle Kirkwood takes the Advanced Auto Parts twin checkered flag. He goes to victory lane, wins the Bonnerito Automotive Group 500.
Still a lot of games to be played. Game 4 didn't end the way we wanted it to. Biggest thing is you can't let one spiral into 2. You know, you can't take the disappointment of that game and let it be a snowball effect. You got to be ready to go for Game 5 here, and again, a hostile environment, and we're both 2 games away. Anything can happen from here.
There is your weekend in review, courtesy Mark Dykton here on the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. I'm Jeff Rickard, getting ready to go for Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight in Oklahoma City. 8:30 tip. Just after that, probably 8 o'clock with the network pregame. Of course, JMV will be going, I think, from about noon today until, no, Jake will be here at noon, but he has done a great job. Incredible game, just a bad ending on Friday night. We got the U.S. Open yesterday, lots to talk about, but first, very important. KB, how was your Father's Day yesterday?
It was great. I won Carnage in the U.S. Open, and we got that. Mark Dykton, thank you for including that J.J. Spawn putt there. What a moment to cap what was just a wild Sunday at Oakmont. So that's satisfied. I thought entertaining IndyCar race late last night as well. Enjoyed watching that from Gateway. Shout out to Kyle Kirkwood for getting it done. 9 of the top 10 finishers were from different teams, so you always love to see that from a parity standpoint in IndyCar. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, it still feels like I got kicked in the you-know-what on Friday night.
Yeah, that one hurt just a little bit. I don't know what it was like at the arena. I was watching from home on Friday night. I had spent some time downtown right before the game, right up until tip-off, then I had a bunch of stuff I had to do family-wise. But I got home, I watched the game, and it felt like this is what it must feel like for other teams when they play the Indiana Pacers, is what it felt like, James.
I have a question. Is the jersey allowed?
Yes.
Is it still good? Is it good? Should we put a poll out there?
No,
is it good juju? Is it bad juju? It's a different jersey.
And Mark
I must say.
Mark can verify this. I went back to putting it on right before the show as we won Game 1.
All right.
It's as much process as anything, is it not, Mark?
Yeah. Rinse and repeat, basically. Try to get the Game 1 vibes going.
But in all seriousness, yeah, being there, it certainly felt like they got walked down like they usually do other teams. And I thought their fourth quarter offense was horrible. My story after the game, my assignment was to write about that fourth quarter, and they had 1 assist. That is not a Pacers quarter. I mean, they had 20 assists going into the fourth quarter. And just to give you some perspective there, OKC had 10 assists for the entire game, and they still had more assists in the fourth quarter, 2, than the Pacers just 1. And we saw how much iso ball they played. So I thought they got a little too matchup happy. You know, Tyrese Halliburton on switches, trying to go at people. He was actually the only player on the Pacers to make more than 1 shot in the fourth quarter. So just an awful ending. I think Benedict Mathurin really he unraveled at the end, missing 3 free throws, 2 away from the play fouls, leaving 2 more free throws for SGA. And again, this to me kind of feels probably how OKC felt after game 1. Like, we gave this one away, and I feel like the Pacers kind of gave that one away. And now we're going back to OKC 2-2. And as Tyrese said, it's anybody's series.
Best 2 out of 3 from here on out. I had somebody text me yesterday. They said, look, if we'd been sitting there on Christmas Day and I'd have told you that the Pacers were tied at 2 in the NBA Finals and had a best 2 out of 3 to win the whole thing, people would have been jumping up and down and feeling like they got the greatest Christmas present ever. So a little perspective, yes, it hurt at home. But
it really hurt.
But
I
also think I'm not ready to throw this series away because I think the Indiana Pacers are every bit the equal of Oklahoma City, and I think they've got just as much chance to win on the road in 2 of these next 3 games as any team does in the NBA. I think it's a really good team. I think they've made great adjustments as the series has gone along, as have the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they've demonstrated that they can play with this team on any level. Really, even Game 2, when they lost by double digits, once Oklahoma City made that first half, early third quarter run, other than that, the whole first quarter and the rest of the game were pretty much basket for basket trading stuff. Indiana can win anywhere, anytime, any place. I don't see why tonight or a Game 7 would be any different, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, it's our first show after Game 4, which is kind of weird with how the schedule is. So I just can't overlook how crushing Friday night was. I mean, it was the kick in the you-know-what. And when I woke up Saturday, it felt that way. When I woke up Sunday, it felt that way. When I was driving downtown this morning, it still feels like those opportunities, they don't grow on trees. And I think that is what is so crushing. Yeah, do I think the Pacers are still in this series? I do. But that's not going to stop me from undermining what happened at the end on Friday night. And I thought, honestly, post-game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Mark Daigneault described it perfectly. Shai said something to the effect of, I know what it would look like had we lost. Like 3-1, I mean, it's over at that point. Mark Daigneault called it a great blood and guts victory. The Pacers are the ones supposed to have the blood and guts victory, and it is sitting on an absolute platter for you to finish that game, and you don't do it. And it's just so stinging. So sure, now that it's 48 hours away, there is, certainly a turn the page, but with us being the first show, boy, guys, it is hard for me to get past Friday night.
I'll tell you what, though, one of the things, and you've covered athletes, both of you, for quite a long time now, and I've been doing it for a long time, too. The greatest athletes, the greatest coaches, they have very short memories. Yes, they go back, they look at film, they figure out what went wrong, they look at that stuff. But most great athletes, they wake up thinking today, because he's Tyrese Halliburton, because they've gotten to the point where they've got another opportunity today, man, I'm going to go win this basketball game tonight. Why? You can't stop me. That's how the good ones think.
They have to. And I mean, I think that even just watching OKC's offensive process late, it was horrible basketball. I mean, they made a lot of shots, and SGA is just amazing. And
we get to the free throw line forever on Friday.
Well, I count me out of the officiating, free throws. I'm not talking about the officiating,
but he got free throws, and that made a big difference in that game.
Yeah, because they were fouling him. And I thought, I did think he got away with the push-off on Aaron Nesmith late, and that wasn't in the 2-minute report for those asking because it was just outside of 2 minutes, but that was a push-off.
And then he walked after he pushed off.
But at the same time, the refs didn't make you miss all 80 of three-pointers. The refs did not make you go one-on-one for pretty much every single basket in the fourth quarter.
I'm not blaming the refs. I'm blaming the free throw merchant. I got you.
He's the MVP. He's averaged 30 for 3 straight seasons. He gave you 15 in the fourth quarter. All those weren't free throw merchants. All those weren't fouls. I mean, he just gave you when they were down 4 and he hit that step back 3
very late in the
to
shot
cut
clock.
It to 1.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what a superstar does.
Right. It honestly had a little bit of the Kobe Game 4 vibe in the 2000 finals.
Great callback.
It is kind of what I was feeling a little bit there. And then, James, you brought it up. I mean, the ISO ball on Chet Holmgren just didn't work. And that's what the Pacers tried. And for 3 straight minutes, you were stuck on 103. And that's what sums up the game. 320.
Was it 12-1 to end the game?
Yeah, 12-1, 103-99. And then it was everybody. I mean, Halliburton had ISOs on Chet. Andrew Nembhard, they had one position where Nembhard's just, literally on the right side of the floor dribbling for 15, 20 seconds. And I think you got to have a Miles Turner question. Maybe it's just strictly due to the illness. And it's not I think there's a misnomer with Turner right now. Game 3, some big defensive plays late. Friday night, though, nothing from a rim protection rebounding standpoint. If you're going double, it's one thing to clank a bunch. But if you're not giving what you have given throughout your entire career, he's been a terrific rim protector throughout his entire career. But if that is going to be what you're getting on the other end of the floor, then the small ball Obi Toppin has got to be explored. And maybe it's just health. Maybe it's just illness. And maybe he needed whatever. Another wave of IVs. And now, 72 hours removed from Friday night, he will be better. But, guys, Miles Turner was awful on Friday night. And I would argue awful on both ends of the floor. And that is a question that, again, maybe you just chalk it up to strictly illness and whatever. But that was a huge reason why you lost that game.
Yeah, and I also want to get back to what I was talking about. I'm not blaming the officials. I'm not a guy that was mad at Scott Foster. I agree with Rick that he's taken some unnecessary, slings and arrows and all that kind of stuff. My point is, almost to your point, you got an MVP who makes things happen. Where is the guy for the Indiana Pacers that gets into the lane and forces a defense to converge on you and has the ability to score, maybe even get an and one, but at least get 2 free throws? We don't see that enough, James. We don't see it enough.
It isn't their game. I mean, outside of Matherin, who is probably their best free throw drawer, I mean, and when he's missing 3 out of, 4 late, and he's basically a 90% shooter in the playoffs, it doesn't bode well for your future. And I get it. Some people, and there certainly were some calls. I will admit that. The Lou Dort steal late was definitely a foul. But at the same time, I just think that when you are in the driver's seat like that, and the way your offensive process just kind of slowed to a sludge, if that's even a word, that to me was sort of the difference. And really just kind of jarring to see, because I'm waiting for them to not be OKC. I thought they tried to win like OKC usually wins. And that's why I also feel confident in Game 5 tonight about the Pacers' chance, because if you're telling me OKC has to go one-on-one to win every game late, unless SGA is a superhero, which he's absolutely capable of being, but to do that for 2 more wins, I think that's a hard task to ask them to do. And then as far as the Pacers go, again, it's kind of which team will blink first, in my opinion, because you have both teams who haven't lost back-to-back games in the playoffs, and you have all these stats about how they all bounce back, but eventually somebody's going to blink, I think. And it's basically the Pacers, can you hold serve tonight and regain home court advantage? So, I mean, I'm not panicking. Maybe some Pacers fans were. I was leaving, obviously, Friday night, and everyone's heartbroken, and they're like, it's over. The series just got lost in this quarter, and it's like, no, it's still 2-2. And again, I did not think OKC played very good basketball. And if you're banking on SGA, 35 points, no assists, and just carrying you to the finish line, then maybe he is the second coming to Kobe.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today because Game 5 comes your way tonight from Oklahoma City. Lots going on this past weekend, a lot happening yesterday. We got a lot to talk about. We'll open up the phone lines later on. Alex Golden from Setting the Pace, the podcast, does a great job covering the Pacers, going to join us in the 9 o'clock hour. It's all straight ahead on the Fan Morning Show at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Monday, everyone. It's game day. Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Indiana Pacers are tied at 2 in a best-of-7 series, which is really now a best-of-3 series, Kevin Bowen. Best chance for the Pacers to come up with a victory tonight? What's it look like?
Well, certainly don't play the final 3 minutes like you played the other nights. Again, I'll go back to where's Miles Turner at. I think the disappointing thing on top of it all from Friday night was, you dominated the three-point line. You hit 10 more threes in Oklahoma City, and you still lost that game. I'll be curious what wrinkles are left. We played 4 games in this series. That's a lot. Is there anything left? Are you able to kind of keep Andrew Nembhard on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a little bit more? Because I thought SGA kind of hunted Aaron Nesmith late in that game, knowing he's a little bit more foul-prone. So those will be some items I'll be watching for tonight.
And you mentioned a moment ago, Miles Turner has got to step up a little bit offensively.
Yeah, I think that he's missed a ton of shots, but to Kevin's point earlier, if you're not going to make some shots, you got to rebound, you got to defend the glass, you got to block some shots, you got to do something to affect the game in a positive manner.
Thought this was interesting over the weekend. Indiana coach Rick Carlisle saying, don't blame Scott Foster, the official, for Game 4 of the NBA Finals. He said, quote, I think it's awful, some of the things I've seen about the officiating and Scott Foster in particular. I've known Scott Foster for 30 years. He's a great official. He's done a great job in these playoffs. We've had him a lot of times.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that
He's
either.
ready for Scott Foster to be on the crew in Game 7, it sounds like.
Yeah, smart man. Man, a long game.
U.S. Open yesterday. Kevin Bowen, I know you were watching, but man, what a finish. And I've never heard the word electrical delay before in golf. Forget lightning. It was an electrical delay yesterday.
That is my type of U.S. Open. The carnage was alive and well at Oakmont. Shout out to J.J. Spahn. Just a hell of a story. I mean, bogeys. First off, he's got a great story individually. Was misdiagnosed as, I believe, a type 1 diabetic, and really looked like for a while there the game of golf might be over for him. Not only does he come back in the professional golf sense, but the final round. He bogeys 5 of his first 6 holes. He shoots 40 on the front 9, yet on a day where the final group shot, I think, 78 and 79 for Sam Burns and Adam Scott. He just hung in there, and the 2 drives on 17 and 18. As great as that putt was on 18, those 2 drives on 17 and 18, those are about as clutch of drives as you're going to see, especially Sunday of a major, especially Sunday of a U.S. Open. Really cool scene. Loved his daughters on his lap as he signed on the scorecard. In true fatherhood, he said that his one daughter was puking on Saturday night, so he had to make a CVS run. I'm like, this is just adding up, all of it, and so a great story.
Every father around the country nodded.
Yep.
Been there.
Yeah. Nodding the head of the puking, not the 45-footer to win the U.S. Open, right?
We've all been there. And by the way, my guy Adam Scott, in position to win as a 44-year-old, time starting to get short, and he a double bogey and then 2 bogeys in the last 5 holes just didn't go well at all.
Honestly, I feel like, based off what you said last week, you could have competed with Adam Scott yesterday.
My strategy would just be hit like 4-iron the entire time. Hit a 3-wood if you have to, and just keep it in the short grass.
4-iron on a 7,500-yard golf course is probably not going to get you very far.
You just take a bogey on every hole. Take a bogey, maybe a double bogey here and there.
Seems easier said than done.
Of course it's easier said than done. The whole thing's ridiculous. All right. Kyle Kirkwood won a great race last night at Gateway. You said you had watched it, KB. He and Alex Palou are still the only 2 drivers to win this year at IndyCar. It's fantastic that these 2 guys are dueling back and forth, but you also brought up the fact that you had the first 9 places were 9 different teams?
Top 10. 9 of the 10 spots, different teams. Certainly, if you watch any of the highlights, you're going to see a very ugly crash for Joseph Newgarden. Lewis Foster got in the wall, and there's nothing Newgarden could have done there. Flipped upside down. It was pretty ugly looking there, but he walked away from that crash. So, yes, 9 of the top 10, again, different teams, and not a single Penske car in the top 10. Oof. Talk about some things you don't usually see. So congrats to Kyle Kirkwood. Rather quiet race for Alex Palou, which we're not used to seeing.
All right. Pato Award, second for the 3rd time this year. Also, Caitlin Clark, 7 3-pointers, a season-high 32 points in her return from a 5-game absence. At one point, JB, she scored 9 points in 38 seconds.
She is transcendent. And I think her flair for the moment meeting the moment, giving you great theater. It definitely reminds me of, prime Steph Curry, even Steph Curry right now, where she's the greatest show in the WNBA when she's healthy. And honestly, I was thinking, dang, was the quad bothering you that much? Because last time we saw her, I believe she was like 1 for 10 or 1 for 12 on 3, something crazy in that game against the Liberty the first time. And I was like, man, she's really off today. And then I was like, oh, your leg must feel much better because she was shooting from the parking lot.
Yeah, it was
unbelievable.
Crazy. By the way, they won 102-88 over the previously undefeated New York Liberty. And all of a sudden, a bunch of eyebrows raised in the WNBA. Maybe there's a third or fourth team that can compete for a title here.
Liberty fans will say, hey, we were out without one of our best players, Jonquel Jones. But again, as we always say, you're going to play who's in front of you. And I think the Fever showed, again, with Caitlin Clark, she is an MVP candidate or MVP caliber player, and then they're a really good team when she's playing, obviously, like that.
Yeah, Kelsey Mitchell had 22 points. Lexi Hull had 14. Aaliyah Boston, 10 points, 11 rebounds. And by the way, Sabrina Ionescu, season high 34.
Should there be a 4-point line for Caitlin Clark? Because my goodness.
Should be, man.
I mean, she had to have hit, I'm going to guess, of the 7, I'm going to guess 3 or 4 were at least 30 feet.
In fact, that 9 points in 38 seconds I told you about, I think the average was 33 feet.
I mean, it was insane how deep she was pulling from.
Here's her 3 points from the first half, according to Pat Boylan. 34 feet, 28 feet, 31 feet, 27 feet, 31 feet, 27 feet. And the 3-point line is 22 feet.
Unbelievable.
What are we doing?
Yeah, from Lebanon and Muncie and Arcadia, she was pulling up from everywhere.
They will play again tomorrow night against the Connecticut Sun. That one starts at 7 p.m. over at the Fieldhouse. What else can we tell you? Road course yesterday for NASCAR. Shane Van Gisbergen gets the win there, as he always seems to do on road courses. And Major League Baseball can tell you that the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Cardinals by a score of 3-2. Cubs over the Pirates 3-2. Cincinnati Reds just can't be stopped. They beat the Detroit Tigers 8-4. Detroit's one of the best teams in baseball. They can't handle these Cincinnati Reds.
I'm afraid the Cubs are really good.
Don't say that.
I mean, I got to be honest.
I saw Mark turn his mic on. Yeah, go ahead, Mark. Talk that talk,
They're
Mark.
pretty good.
Yeah.
They're without their best 2 pitchers, too, so we'll see what happens to the trade
I
deadline.
mean, the Reds are playing great baseball, and they can't move up at all.
Nope.
Indians beat St. Paul 7-3 over at Victory last night. One other baseball note, Shohei Ohtani pitches again tonight for the first time since 2023. He'll make a start for the Dodgers.
Wow.
He's only expected to pitch for an inning. They just want to get him going again.
I know the rest of the league is just like, wow, okay, here we go with this guy again.
I'd also say the Boston Red Sox trading Rafael Devers was insane because that contract just got signed and there's so much money left on that. Sent to the San Francisco Giants. That one floored me last night.
Yeah.
He's a Yankee killer, and if you have a Red Sox friend, give him a hug because in the last several years they've let go of Mookie Betts, Rafael Devers, and Xander Bogaerts.
Insane.
I don't know what's going on over there. They're behaving like the Pittsburgh Pirates up there in Boston all of a sudden. I don't know what's happening. All right, that's what's happening in the world of sports. Coming up in a moment, back to Game 5 of the NBA Finals as we continue to get this team up and running and ready to go in what is now a best-of-3 series. That's next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good Monday morning game day for Game 5 of the NBA Finals, along with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton. I'm Jeff Rickard, and KB. I still go back to something a friend of mine texted me over the weekend, man. If we'd have told you on Christmas Day that you'd have best 2 out of 3 for an NBA championship and you're tied with somebody at 2-2, people have been signing up for that left and right. Nobody would have left their name off that petition right there. I know it's all context. You're up 2-1. You have a chance to go up 3-1 at home. I get all that. But when you really step away from it and look at it, still a tremendous opportunity for the Indiana Pacers here.
Yeah, the only better opportunity was what was sitting on a platter for you 3 minutes ago on Friday night.
I got to get you to move on.
Friday night, to me, just absolutely was a kick. And I'm talking like, I don't know, Kendrick Perkins kicked you in the you-know-what. Like, nobody small kicked you in the you-know-what.
Draymond Green.
I thought he was going to say Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
And I thought the reactions post-game said it all. Again, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I thought, had just such a great quote of, I knew what it would have looked like had we lost. Like, if you lose that game, guys, it's over. 3-1, I mean, it's over at that point. And so I think that's what is so stingy. Now, again, having said that, I do still think the Pacers have a shot in this series, but just because I also think that doesn't mean that Friday night doesn't really hurt. And I think that's the question as I sit here Monday morning. Guys, when's the last time the Pacers have had a loss that sniffed that? None of these losses.
They've been doing that to other teams.
None of these losses in the postseason was
Jeff.
that. So how do you react to getting pacered, if you want to play that card a little bit? I mean, think about the losses. The Knicks, 2 losses in that series. None of it looked like that. The 1 loss to Cleveland, the 1 loss to the Bucks. Again, it didn't look like that. So I am curious that aspect to it. And does Oklahoma City play with relief now? They had to play with desperation on Friday night. I mean, that is a relief moment for them. They have been in this position, and I think that's something worth pointing out. The Denver series has played out just like this one has so far for Oklahoma City. They had to win on the road in Game 4 to tie it up at 2-2. They did that against Denver. They come home for Game 5, probably thinking, hey, this is great. We finally got it back to 2-2. We've got the best of 3 now with home court. Denver had them up 8 on the road going in the fourth quarter of that game. The same position the Pacers are in tonight. And Oklahoma City outscored them 34-19 in the fourth quarter. So, on paper, there is a game just like what tonight is. Obviously, the pressure is even heightened now, the NBA Finals. And the road team was able to be up 8 going to the fourth quarter, and then OKC made all those plays down the stretch. So, I guess that's optimism, maybe for the Pacers if you want to look at it that way.
I don't know. If I'm an Indiana Pacer, I can't wait to hit the floor later on tonight and take control of this series right back. I know that's how they look at it. And look, Oklahoma City's a game. They won 68 games in the regular season. They're not just going to roll over and die. That was my thing in the fourth quarter. Like, I don't know if the Pacers, I don't think they were expecting them to kind of like, okay, well, we're struggling tonight. We're not really playing our best game. We're on the road. But no, teams that have won 68 games and 3 series already and a game already in the NBA Finals, they're not just going to roll over and go away.
No, not at all. And I didn't expect that. That's why I picked OKC to win Friday night at the end of our show. And I will say the manner in which they won was surprising to me because once it got tight late, I'm like, okay, this is what the Pacers do. They walk you down, they execute. And again, I thought there were obviously some some moments there where you're like, what's going on? The Lou Dort steal, obvious foul. The Lou Dort weird elbow thing at the free throw line.
That was a foul.
And people can say
that should have been a flagrant.
Yeah, embellished it. But if you get hit in the throat, you can embellish anything you want. And I thought that even the Aaron Nesmith foul on Chet Holmgren, where Chet looked like he lost the ball before he got fouled, all those things were a factor for sure. But I think offensively, still, it was just jarring to see them, without the refs in this particular part of the game, kind of just not do what they've always done, which is move the ball and occasionally go one-on-one. Because I'm just thinking to myself, all right, are they going to win this game going one-on-one and playing OKC style of basketball, or are they going to get back to themselves? They never really did. And I can be nitpicking and say, hey, Tyrese, you should have shot 2 of those step-back threes, but these are also shots that he's made throughout this run as well. So to me, this was more so about, yes, you squandered a great opportunity. I believe after the game, Rick Carlisle said, hey, we're extremely disappointed, but we got to come back and circle the wagons and be ready for Game 5. But I also think you're also a really good team. So that's why I'm not, like, panicking. I would be feeling differently if they had come out and smacked the Pacers by 15, and you're like, man, this team is just nowhere near close to them. But they're right there. And I think that, again, if you get them down the stretch, get another close game, who are you going to bank on? The team you've been all year, that one game or that one fourth quarter you just had?
Yeah, I think what bothers me, too, about Friday night is games where you hit 10 threes more than your opponent.
Well, yeah.
Those don't happen.
Yeah.
On a routine basis. So I think that was, there are a lot of stinging elements for me to Friday night. The one assist in the fourth quarter, that has to be a season low, right? I mean, there's no way the Pacers have had another quarter all year where they only have one assist.
I looked it up. It is tied for their least amount of assists in a quarter.
It has happened?
Yes, it happened once before. I want to say it happened actually a couple weeks ago against the Knicks and actually won the game. But that also, the Knicks are a little bit different. Yeah. You're hunting.
Right.
Like, if you go one-on-one against Jalen Brunson, it's a little bit different than going one-on-one against SGA and Chet and other guys.
I mean, it was really Chet the final 3 minutes. Nembhard and Halliburton had probably, 5 possessions? You probably had 5 or 6 straight just empty trips down the floor when it was either you had a lead or it was tied. I guess maybe it was never tied, but you're only down 1 or 2, something along those lines. And again, I'll go back to what I said early in the show. You might have a decision to make with Miles Turner.
Meaning?
Because
what are you going to do?
Well, if he's going to look like that, then Obi Toppin, small ball group has got to be out there. Thomas Bryant didn't play a minute the other night. Is that right?
No. You know what's crazy? This was the first time that the Pacers did not go at least 10 deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It was only 9 players play.
Rotationally, I'm a little curious because OKC went big with their starting group.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't get off to a great start. The Pacers got off to a brilliant start on Friday. But those are some things to keep an eye on. But, again, it's not that Turner can't throw it in the ocean right now. Because, guys, he's just not missing. This thing ain't sniffing the rim right now with his shots. But it's the other end of the floor Friday night. And I know not everything boils down to rebounds for Turner. But no blocks?
I know. No presence.
I mean, like that, if he's not, it's one thing. Okay, offensively, whatever. Some nights you're not shooting it great. Okay, but clearly with Turner, this has been a shooting issue here really throughout the entire finals. But the other end of the floor, if he's not giving you the rim protection, rebounds are rebounds, and that's never really been Turner's thing. And obviously when you're going for blocks, you aren't going to be a great rebounder. But when you go a little goose egg on block, and he played 30 minutes, it's not like he played 18 or 20. You chalk that up strictly to health, strictly to illness?
I'm not.
Well, then if it's no, then you've got a decision to make.
Yeah.
If it's not health, then you've got to look long and hard. And Obi played a lot of minutes the other night. But the closing minutes, they went back to Turner there. And so I think that is a huge question for tonight. Because as great as Shea is, it's not like he's living at the rim. He is more of a, let me get to my spot, 8 to 18 feet, and I'll cook you that way. Yeah, he definitely, gets the rim at times. But I don't know. The rim protection maybe isn't as immense as it is with some other guys.
Here's the other thing, and we've been talking about Shea as we should, and he's played like an MVP in this last game, no question about it. But there's 2 guys that just killed the Pacers consistently.
Oh, Caruso's killing them.
Caruso is just, there's like 6 of him on the floor. He's almost like T.J. McConnell on steroids in Game 4. And then Jalen Williams has made some really timely buckets for them at key moments, and he has taken some of the offensive pressure off Shea, I think.
Yes, you know what? He had like the quietest 30 points.
He was struggling early in the series, and now he started to look like the all-star he was.
So the way I kind of recap that game in my brain, just from a simplicity standpoint, I feel like Jalen Williams kept them attached. Alex Caruso kind of helped them get back in it, and the SGA closed. So I wonder if, for OKC's sake, you talk about going small ball, like Alex Caruso cannot come off the floor. I believe one of my buddies from Yahoo, Dan Devine, put it out there, something like Alex Caruso hasn't played over 30 minutes, and maybe he's only done it maybe twice in regular season. He's done it twice in the finals now. And so is this someone that they're looking at to say, when we have him out there, he changes the math for us a bit. And so you look at game records, he's one of them. And he also has made some big shots. That's the thing that separates Alex Caruso from the other quote-unquote average 3-and-D player, average role player. He makes big-time shots. And he's also a champion. He's been here before. He's 1-1 with LeBron James and the Lakers in the bubble. And people can say it doesn't count, but in the record books it does. So again, he's somebody I expect to bring it tonight. And again, I'm not panicking though. I don't look at this as a point where you're like, man, it's over. Like, stick a nail in him. Like, no, it's 2-2. They'll be fine.
Looking forward to it. It starts at 8:30 tonight, a little bit after that, probably for tip. Our pregame coverage on the network starts at 8. JMV will be broadcasting from 3 to 8 tonight. And, man, you talk about a guy that's been giving it up. JMV has been everywhere all the time. He's going to do another 5 hours again tonight. That place was lit the other night.
I got nervous when you said he's giving it up. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I guess.
You're right there thinking with Mark Dyke now. You and Mark are on the same page.
What kind of job are we promoting here?
Good for John. Is there going to be a third on the way here?
I will say my boy JMV was sounding a lot better Friday night when I
he's had a Jalen Williams run in this series. The later it goes, the better that he that he sounded.
He threw a question out there to Eddie Gill. Would you come play basketball with us at Southport? And Eddie Gill looked at us like we were, respectfully, nah. And he gave us some. He gave
the same look that Jeff is giving Oakmont right now.
Yeah, he gave us some look like he's some excuse like nah, my body, my knees. I'm just like, no, we're not good enough. I wish you would say that. I couldn't believe JMV even asked that question. I respect the question, but I was thinking, no, I don't want to play Eddie Gill on a Saturday morning so he could just destroy me because I have no chance of guarding a former NBA player. The guy's not 60. I'm like, what the heck are we doing? So that was funny.
I think he looks at
he looked at us like we were the freaking 6th grade team looking at the varsity players. It was hilarious.
Because guys like that think, man, all I can do is get hurt in this.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that could happen for me is I get hurt.
9.5. That's a spread for tonight. Man. Oklahoma City is a 9.5 point favorite. Can you believe the heartbreak of Friday night for Pacer fans and bettors? The Thunder covered.
Yeah. Someone said that in the elevator when we were going down to the media room.
Did Matherin have the Thunder minus the points there? Dear Lord.
And he's somebody too, though. I think he'll be better in Game 5. And
yeah, that was just the cherry on top. I mean, no matter what, you still would have had to play the foul game, but obviously that was terrible from him late.
He never misses 2 in a row.
No, he never. I mean, hell, he rarely misses one. He's
shooting
such a good foul shooter.
88.9% going into that last 4 free throws of that game or whatever. So. He's somebody who obviously had a great game in Game 3. I believe 27 points off the bench. Game 4, not so much, but he's a tough dude. So I expect him to be better. And again, he's somebody who could swing this series back in the favor of the Pacers because that's what they have. They've had players who have had duds and they come back and respond. So to me, if it gets weird, that is sort of what the Pacers have done all postseason. It gets weird and they find a way.
Well, they're going to have to find a way to win tonight on the road in Oklahoma City, and they'll probably have that goofy-looking blue out that they have, which makes you know what it made it look like? You know what it made it look like? Remember back in the COVID tournament when they would put like fake people, or not fake, but just like images of people up on the sides? That's what it looks like when they're there.
They're going checkered. They're going blue one section, white the other. They do a hell of a job with it.
Loud city, as they say.
Yeah, that's a raucous environment.
That's good coordination too. Everybody always wears the shirts too.
Yeah. I can't hate on the Thunder's atmosphere.
Oh, I can hate on anything with the Thunder.
I respect
right
it.
now.
I mean, it's very impressive. They got 2,000 people on their season ticket waiting list.
Seriously? Wow, I know that.
Ooh, it's insane.
Well, that is the only thing to do out there too.
Yeah, what else are you gonna do?
But their team is great. So that's funny.
I'm over the Thunder.
I'm loving the Jeff hate right now.
I'm over the Thunder already.
To be an honest hater, those listening, kids listening, be an honest hater. You'll go far in life.
I did think Friday night it got a hair chippy for the first time all series. So
I kind of like that. By the way.
What does that mean here for these final 3 games at all? Again, it's the Pacers responding from a loss they haven't suffered in months, and now we've got a little edginess, a little testy nature to this series. Curious how it'll play out.
Jeff's disdain for the Thunder is going to have Kevin have a running partner, I think, if the Pacers close this thing out. Jeff's going to join right along.
He might just be naked.
Jeff will be on a bike, though. You'll be just running.
Lord have mercy.
I'm not giving any Speedo updates until tomorrow.
That's probably a good idea. I think it was Breen that said it during the broadcast on Friday night when he talked about the series has now gotten to the point where they're both just kind of getting a little tired of each other.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good. I like that.
I will say, credit to all of you who watched the game and attended the game and covered the game without watching or playing solitaire during the game.
Oh, you're talking about Stephen A. Smith paying close attention to his job that he makes like $15 million
solitaire capture joining us at 9 o'clock?
Was that Golden that got that?
He shared a picture from someone who did.
Yeah.
Grab it.
Well, I'll question his ethics on where he got that photo and how he shared it on social media and here in a bit.
Okay. Alex Golden going to join us coming up at 9 o'clock, by the way.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, you got Stephen A. Smith playing solitaire in the middle of the game.
Then he doubled down and he said, I can multitask. I'm like, and he said it was during a timeout, and there's clearly video of him playing as the game was going on.
There were a couple. Someone wrote an entire article saying that there were 2 complete, absolute mistruths, is the way they put it.
That man is a clown.
I tell you what, I would just Stevie Wonder that thing, or Ray Charles it. You would, I would act like I never saw that tweet. You never accused me. I wouldn't even address it.
Just let it go.
Just let it go. I'd let Twitter make it up. I think it's Photoshop or something.
He can't help not being the center of attention.
Yeah, that was so funny though. That was hilarious. So Pacers fans, I know you're probably like, man, this stinks, but that was a funny moment for sure.
Yeah. You know what we need tonight? We need a Matherin explosion of 27 points again tonight. That's what we need.
Well, yeah.
No, I mean that's part of what
player scoring 27 on the road in NBA Finals
let's go.
Would be quite.
But
something.
honestly, I feel like he's capable of doing it. Like he's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and the series. It seems like eons ago, Game 2 in OKC, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, that seems like years ago. But Game 1 and Game 2, the Pacers were bad, guys. 48 minutes on each of those games. Oklahoma City was a better team in 95% of those minutes. The Pacers just had the big flurry to Game 1. So that's a question I do have going back there. Your turnover numbers were really high in that building. Has the series shifted 3 different times since then, and that doesn't matter? Is it still playing one of the best teams in the league on the road? I think there's a great unknown to tonight for both parties. OKC is theoretically playing with relief from what happened in Game 4, and the Pacers are now playing with, oh my gosh, we just got kicked in the you-know-what. Again, we got Pacered for the first time all postseason. How do we react? I'm fascinated to watch it unfold tonight.
I would like to think as this series has gone along that one of the things that Oklahoma City is so good at is just that swarming defense. We talked about it early after those first 2 games where there's a hand or a leg or a body part in the middle of a passing lane at all times. They're always coming up behind you. Even when you're walking the ball up the floor, they're looking for that steal. They're looking for the deflection. It's what they do, and they play defense fast the way that the Pacers kind of play offense fast. I'd like to think that as the series has gone along, the Pacers have adapted to that pressure.
But they still had 16 turnovers the other night.
Yeah.
So many of them were unforced, though.
Well, that's the issue, though. It's like a lot of this, I think, is there's a tense nature to playing Oklahoma City where you do those things, even though they're uncharacteristic, even though they're out of the norm. I just think there's a level of like almost panic of like, oh boy, if we don't execute right here, next thing you know, we're going to be throwing some desperation, 2 seconds on the shot clock, heave.
If I do want to give some props, though, to a guy who's been playing very well, Obi Toppin. He's been playing some very good basketball.
And he was great in Game 1 down there.
Yes, and I think that he, again, will remain an X factor in this series. Going into Game 5 tonight, you talk about that 2 big lineup. Man, when he's running the floor, it is so hard to keep him from, one, getting the tip dunk, which he seems to get every single game now. And also, when he's knocking down 3-pointers and kind of spacing the floor, it forces OKC to react in a way I don't think that they really want to. So, again, if you're looking for bright, positive, moments and signs, which I know is doom and gloom after Game 4, he is one where I'm like, okay, this guy has proven after that first stretch in the first game of the series where we were all like, what are you doing? The lights are too bright. He's been very good for them off the bench.
One more thing from Friday night. If the game is going to slow down, and it definitely slowed down in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Both ends of the floor. Neither team was really getting out in transition. If it's going to slow down, you have a great slowdown player in Siakam.
Yeah.
Just see him get a touch or two 15 feet away from the basket, and what happens off of that. Because if you look at it, as soon as
one shot, I believe, in the fourth quarter, which is unacceptable.
As soon as you got it to 4, it literally became Chet Holmgren against Nembhard or Halliburton. That was you probably had 5-6 straight possessions of that, and it didn't work. None of it worked. And I would have liked to have seen just 1 or 2 times, just an isolation sort of, all right, Siakam, do your thing. Because, again, when it slows down, I don't know, maybe they thought Chet was hurt from the twisting of the ankles or what, but hunting him is not hunting Karl Anthony Towns or, some other slow-footed center. Chet, actually can hang in there.
All right, coming up in a moment, more discussion of Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight. We'll catch you up today on everything else that took place on a very busy Father's Day in the world of sports yesterday. Alex Golden will join us at 9 o'clock. We'll open up the phone lines for you guys to tell me whether you're just despondent, you felt like you got kicked in the groin on Friday night, or you've put that behind you and you're ready to go in a best 2 out of 3 moving forward. It's all coming your way next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
With KB, JB, and Jeff.
I think it's awful what some of the things I've seen about the officiating, and Scott Foster in particular.
Mid-range jumper is short. Rebound, Fever. Cunningham got knocked to the floor. Caitlin pulls left wing. Buries it. She is back. Caitlin now from the right wing. 30-plus feet. Good again. On the left sideline. Caitlin wants it. To Dantas. Handoff. Caitlin from the logo. Crosses over. Launches. Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding?
Perry had his stick lifted. Losterine and clears for the empty net. Score! And that silences the crowd here in Edmonton.
Want to cozy it up. Don't need to make it. 2 putts.
This would be a big box to check. Kyle Kirkwood off at turn number 2, trying to win on an oval for the first time, Mark. Half a lap to go here in St. Louis.
I'll tell you what, Paddle Ward is coming. I just think he's going to run out of time, though. He has shaved it down to 0.4 of a second as he tries to clear lap traffic. Paddle Ward with a strong run off of turn number 4, but he's not going to have enough time. Kyle Kirkwood takes the Advanced Auto Parts twin checkered flag. He goes to victory lane, wins the Bonnerito Automotive Group 500.
Still a lot of games to be played. Game 4 didn't end the way we wanted it to. Biggest thing is you can't let one spiral into 2. You know, you can't take the disappointment of that game and let it be a snowball effect. You got to be ready to go for Game 5 here in, again, a hostile environment, and we're both 2 games away. Anything can happen from here.
Happy Monday. If you're just joining us, thanks so much for being here. However you're finding us, whether it's at 93.5, 107.5 FM, 93.1 HD2, which is a terrific way to listen to us. You can listen to us online at 1075thefan.com. You can listen to us on the app at 1075 The Fan there. You can listen to your smart speaker. You can listen to us all over the place, James Boyd.
Yes, you certainly can. I believe we will have some coverage later tonight. Or is that only for home games?
Will be coverage for the NBA Finals game, or what do we got going on? No, we're going to be, John's going to be on the air from 3 p.m. until 8 p.m. Then we'll hand it off to Pat Boylan for the network.
Here we go.
We're at Pivot Bar right across the street from the Fieldhouse on Friday, and that place was crazy. Cool. Did you stop by? Yeah.
I did. I stopped by. Anybody I met and saw, thank you for introducing yourself, listen to the show. It was an awesome time, and obviously, you want a better outcome for the game, but the vibes were good. And keep those good vibes going into Game 5. I promise you it's not over. It's not.
I missed you. I didn't see you there. So I heard you on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go in and do, I guess, the other part of my job, which is be there for Rick's pregame. But, yeah, I'm excited to see tonight whatever adjustments they make. But I don't even know if there's going to be a lot of adjustments on the Pacers' part. And more so, it's just reminding them, hey, we win by playing as a team, so let's not get a little too hero ball-y towards the end of the game.
All right, moving past the loss in Game 4, what are the things, though, that they really need to focus on to get it right tonight?
Well, I think the biggest personnel question, I guess, going back to James's point, is Miles Turner. You know, where, again, is he at?
I think you might be swinging me over to that side because I'm like, yeah, he's been rough.
You know, as I've said all morning long, it's one thing for him not to be thrown in the ocean right now. It's another thing to not give you what you usually get from him defensively. 0 blocks in 30 minutes. On Friday night, 2 rebounds. So that, I think, is the biggest probably personnel question for Rick Carlisle exiting Friday night. Now, we did see, it's more of a rotational thing, but we didn't see Thomas Bryant. So, I mean, it's a shorter rotation. Is that now going to be the trend? And then psychologically, Tyrese just said it right there. I thought it was a great clip that Mark used to kind of end the intro. You can't let one spiral into 2. And we haven't – that's the unknown for me tonight. In 12 and a half hours, we're going to see the Pacers play, and they are coming back from a loss really unlike any the franchise has had in quite some time. And if the Pacers are going to go on and lose the NBA Finals, guys, we're going to point to 3 minutes to go in Game 4.
That is true.
That's what we're going to point to.
That's true.
And so how do you react to that? And I say that for both teams. Does Oklahoma City have a sense of relief now? Of like, whew.
Like kind of off the hook for their collapse in Game 1.
Now we have home floor. The home floor will just carry us, you know?
But
like
here's the thing. I feel like if they think like that, OKC, we can
the Pacers will pounce.
That's what I'm
right. But again, so you can look at it both sides of it, of just how these teams.
You cannot think like that against this team.
And I bring up Oklahoma City against Denver in that series because they had a very similar Game 4 result for them. They win Game 4 on the road. They get it 2-2. They come home, and Denver outplays them for 3 quarters. Denver's up 8 going in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then, boom, Oklahoma City makes all the plays down the stretch. So to answer your question, Jeff, the Turner situation, if it is not illness and this is the Turner you're getting, small ball Obi Toppin has got to be explored more. And then psychologically, that's the unknown. Because this team hasn't lost back-to-back games in 3 months. I'd argue they haven't been asked to respond to a loss like that one on Friday night yet in that 3-month stretch. Plus, the opponent's a little bit different, and that home floor is a little different.
And I think one of the things that will help them in that, I would expect that it would help them, is just the wealth of experience that Rick Carlisle brings into that locker room, where he can look at guys straight in the eye and go, hey, I've been here before. I've looked at this. This is something that happened to us here, and this is how we responded. This is what we did. All we got to do is play our game, make a tweak here or there, James Boyd, and we'll be okay.
Absolutely, and I just don't think this is a team that really is going to let one game, one quarter, bleed into the next one. They haven't done it all year. I don't expect it to happen now. I will say, I picked the Thunder in 7, so I expected this to go 7. And the way I kind of see it playing out is the Thunder do take a lead tonight, 3-2, and then the Pacers come back for Game 6, force a Game 7, and then anything can happen from there. So, but I also think if you told me wake up, tomorrow and they've won Game 5 in OKC, I would not be surprised because this team has shown that they're capable of doing crazy things. And a lot of it, to me, isn't necessarily even having to do anything differently outside of to Kevin's point, the personnel potential changes with Miles. But the rest of the guys, it's like you're asking them to do what they've done all year, which is be tough mentally and to play your role. And for Tyrese, I think him, and he took a lot of the blame towards the end of the game and how it kind of unfolded. As long as he remembers, hey, I am still the orchestrator to a certain degree, I think that he's done a fine job of picking his spots and shots throughout the playoffs. And really, a lot of them were forced because of the clock, where he didn't have time to think about, should I pass, should I shoot? But I thought the last 3-4 minutes, he got a little too maybe just self-involved a bit. And I don't want to blame him like it's all his fault because he did make 3 of his 7 shots in the fourth quarter. But, maybe you can just distribute the ball a bit more. And also, don't forget about that guy, Pascal Siakam, who is the other next player. And someone who I believe, when he gets that turnaround jumper from 15 feet, you all, does he ever miss that? So, use that every now and then.
Jeff, you mentioned the Rick Carlisle veteran experience. I was curious if that was on display yesterday. The Pacers did practice down in OKC yesterday. Not the most newsy day. Rick, which again, James and I have said this now for weeks, Jarris Walker was not going to play in the finals. Rick, I think, said unlikely to play in the finals. But the other comment that certainly drew a lot of headlines was his opinion of Scott Foster, the official who was right there on the baseline on the SGA push-off travel, whatever you wanted from a Pacer fan on Aaron Nesmith. Scott Foster, for those that don't pay attention to NBA officials, probably one of the more, well-known officials in the NBA, and one that if you look at some stats, you would say that oftentimes teams trailing in a series, if Scott Foster is officiating those games, they benefit from that greatly. Rick Carlisle, very passionate. To be fair, I don't think he was asked specifically about Foster. It was more just about the officiating in general from Game 4.
I think it's awful some of the things I've seen about the officiating, and Scott Foster in particular. I've known Scott Foster for 30 years. He's a great official. He's done a great job in these playoffs. We've had him a lot of times. And the ridiculous scrutiny that's being thrown out there is terrible and unfair and unjust and stupid.
That's pretty strong. Pretty strong statement right there.
Rick, I respect you playing the long game, brother. Referees are still human. Stroke the guy's ego. Hey, I've known him for 30 years. He's a great official. So when he travels again, give us that call in the fourth quarter, please.
When he's the crew chief of Game 7.
Exactly. I mean, I think that it's twofold. I do think that it is gamesmanship. it's always smart to work the officials whatever way you can, whether it's through the media or whether it's in a game.
He did something like this in the Knicks series.
Exactly. So I respect that. But two, I do think that he is also saying we have to be better ourselves. We cannot be looking at this like, oh, woe is me, the referees ruined this for us. No, the refs did not make you miss all 83 pointers. They didn't make you go one-on-one against Chet Holmgren in the clutch. They didn't make you do a couple of these things that normally you just don't do. They were very uncharacteristic mistakes, I thought, from the Pacers. So we'll see how they respond. And to me, this is two teams that are both sort of mirror images of each other when it comes to their resilience. They don't lose back-to-back games. Neither one does. Who's going to be the first to blink? Is that tonight in OKC? Possibly. But I don't feel great about OKC's offensive process. I just don't like the way that they've approached some of these games, especially this last one. Even though they won the game, which is ultimately what you want to do, it's kind of similar to in my opinion, to how the Pacers won game one. You don't look at that and say, oh, that's a recipe for success. You say, oh, we survived. And then you got to figure out, okay, how do we play better from there to take a lead in this series? And to Jeff's point from earlier, the Pacers have not trailed in the series all postseason. Does that start tonight? We'll see.
Well, the other thing is, if you're the Indiana Pacers, you also look at the first, 44 minutes of that game and say, we were a better team than they
That's
were
what I'm
44
saying.
minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's just get back to that.
Yes.
And so I'm looking forward to see how they respond tonight. To me, look, other than the last 4 minutes of this game, game 4, for me personally, this has been a monumentally entertaining series. Ups, downs, emotional swings. You're on top. They're on top. There's a reversal at the end of game 1. There's a reversal at the end of game 4. From just a purely entertainment standpoint, this series is delivered in 4 games, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, if you are a neutral fan, neutral observer, I would agree wholeheartedly with that. I even think game 4, we finally got a little testiness, a little edginess into the series as well. Is that on display a little bit more tonight? But again, I just go back to Friday, and obviously it's our first show since that game, and I've said all morning long, I just think it's an absolute kick in the you-know-what. And there's a little bit, given the opponent, there's a little part of me that thinks about the baseball analogy of the Oklahoma City Thunder are the great starting pitcher. And there's only so many innings you get 2 runners on with no outs. And if you don't take advantage of 2 runners on and no outs, that starting pitcher is going to close that door shut. He's going to storm off the mound, and you might not get another inning with a couple runners on and no outs. And that worries me from Friday night is you hit 10 more threes than they did. Was that the opportunity of you're going to get a chance in this series? You're a good team, Indiana. You are a good basketball team. You're going to get a chance. And it's sitting there right there on a platter for you in game 4 in your own building. Was that the squandered opportunity? And as early as Friday, as early as next Monday, after a game 7, do we look back? Whether it's on Friday after game 6, whether it's on Monday after game 7, are we going to sit here in the studio and think, man, very a la, and honestly, probably at a higher level than the 2000 NBA Finals, was that the missed opportunity in this series?
Yeah.
Or did it ignite something again in this Hollywood season, which feels like a movie script? Is there 1 or 2 more scenes left? And one of those scenes obviously will have to be in Oklahoma City.
I do want to point this out, though. What did you all think of the adjustment from OKC to have SGA not bring it up every single time? Because I think that's why he was able to, and I get it. I get it. The stiff arm on Aaron Nesmith should have been an offensive foul, at least in my opinion. But no matter that call, he made a lot of shots that were short in game 3 because they didn't have him bring it up every single time. And I thought that they, for the most part, kind of survived not having him be their primary ball handler for 48 minutes of the game.
Yeah, so basically what they did a lot late, they involved him and Jalen Williams in a pick and roll with SGA setting the screen.
Yes.
And that contributed to a little bit of switching with Aaron Nesmith. James obviously brings up the most controversial play, but there were other plays where Aaron Nesmith is now on SGA, and I think that's the preferred defender of him and Andrew Nembhard, because Andrew
meaning OKC would prefer to have Aaron Nesmith on?
Correct.
Yes.
Nesmith fouls.
Yeah.
Let's put that play to the side because I agree it should have I think been at the very least offensive. I think you could definitely have thrown in a travel as well, but calling a travel 3 minutes ago in the NBA Finals seems a bit laughable. But let's just call it a push-off. The problem is Neesmith has issues staying out of foul trouble, defending without fouling. And I think SGA is so gifted in that area that he can expose.
Yeah, what was
that.
the one where Aaron was sticking his hand in and he just like swipes up straight through his hand?
Yeah.
Late
and
clock,
the
right?
entire arena is like, boo, this is horrible. And I get it.
Neesmith didn't even complain.
Yeah, it is one of those, it's a foul where like, if I were to call this in a pickup game, everyone would be like, you moron. Like, let's keep playing basketball. But in the NBA, you cannot stick your hand in the cookie jar like that. And I think those types of fouls, I'm just like, Aaron, like, why have you forsaken me? But I also think that he's due for a game. We have not had an Aaron Neesmith game just yet. We've had a couple of moments, but I mean, he's someone, we're talking about X factors. Could he come back in a game 5 tonight and give you 4 threes and some better defense and not be, so much in foul trouble? Because I think it messes up your rotation too when you constantly take him out of the game, because he means so much to you from a defensive standpoint. And also, Aaron usually will do something. Talked about Miles Turner having to do the same thing. Aaron will do something to affect the game, whether it's shooting, it's rebounding, it's a steal, it's taking a charge. It's something to that effect. So when he gets 2 early fouls or 3 early fouls, it really kind of, messes with his rhythm and I think the rhythm of the team as well.
I thought, obviously, that call there late that wasn't called, that's way too much swallowing of the whistle for my liking. In general, the Pacers want that whistle swallowed, though. I thought the game was too clunky for the Pacers on Friday night. I thought that style of game does not play into the Pacers
clunky.
Sort of.
And it gives those guys rest. I mean, when you're constantly at the free
on
throw
the shortest
line,
turnaround of the entire series.
Yeah.
And to your point, those SGA shots that were short late, I mean, there's no bigger shot than the late clock 3 when they're down 4. I mean, there's 2 on the shot clock at that point?
Yeah.
And he rises and cuts that to 1, and then boom, the rest of the game
That's a
unfolded.
massive shot.
I thought the possession I maybe hated the most late for the Pacers. Halliburton motions to Nembhard to get on the right side of the floor with the ball. So I think it's a 2-man game between Nembhard and Neesmith with SGA involved. I guess the thought process there from Halliburton is, let's hunt a little bit of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in this situation.
Man.
And it turned into Nembhard dribbling for 15 to 20 seconds with Halliburton just a bystander on the other side of the floor. And that, I mean, there are a lot of possessions that bothered me late. That one maybe bothered me the most of, let's run a semblance of offense. Or if you're going to play the slow man game, throw it to Siakam and let his old man bag of tricks try to carve out something. Because he's the one, him or Mathurin, frankly, are probably the 2 guys that can go and thrive in that situation more than really anybody else on your team.
All right, game coming up later on tonight. Let's tell you all about it right now. It's the Morning Checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
8:30 p.m. is when they're scheduled to take the broadcast with Mark Boyle and Eddie Gill. The pregame with Pat Boylan starts at 8. JMB will be with you from 3 to 8. And, of course, we'll have you covered all day long. Jake goes from noon to 3. We're here until 10 o'clock this morning. But it's all about the Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder. Tied at 2 games apiece. It's a best 2 of 3 series now for the NBA championship. One bit of news, which really wasn't news to us, Jarris Walker out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw him after that Knicks series and crushes in the locker room, I was thinking this dude isn't playing anytime soon. So get well, Jarris. And obviously, he's been a good teammate over on the bench, cheering on his other compadres.
All right, we'll talk about it all day long here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. The Indiana Fever got Caitlin Clark back on Saturday against the defending champion New York Liberty. All she did in helping the team to improve to 5-5 with a 102-88 victory was score 32 points. She had 9 points in a 38-second span in the first half, where they rallied from a double-digit deficit and took control of the game.
I am not impressed. No, I need 50. I need 40. You scored 25 in the first half. You got in with 40, right? But no, that was
you
incredible
want her pulling
stuff.
up from half court now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, would any of us think that she's – I would say from half court.
Nobody'd get mad.
The way she's shooting like that, yes, she would have the ultimate green light to shoot that shot. So shout out to CC for getting back out there and delivering as she does in moments that other players just don't do.
One little thing I noticed watching that game is when she was on her streak and you just felt like she was going to hit everything, her teammates knew it too. They were setting screens and trying to get her the ball as fast as they could possibly get it to her.
Because they know if they don't, they're about to get cussed out by the best player on their team.
Yeah, because you can see they wanted to. They're like, let's keep this thing going.
They know she's special.
I tell you who else makes just key, timely baskets for them with three, especially from 3-point range. Lexi Hull hits some big shots for them.
Yeah, a reminder, she was pre-Aaliyah Boston, pre-Caitlin Clark, and the player she was 3 years ago to where she is now is just an incredible rise, and props to her.
And Kelsey Mitchell had 22 points as well. The Fever play again tomorrow night at the Fieldhouse against the Connecticut Sun, and Caitlin Clark should be healthy and ready to go again. IndyCar last night. You watched this one, KB. Kyle Kirkwood gets the win, his first win on an oval this year, and Pato O'Ward finished second. But every race this year has been won by Kyle Kirkwood or Alex Palou.
Yeah, those two have been the ones taking the checkered flag. What I loved about last night, you look at the top 10, no Penske driver, 9 of 10 different teams represented in the top 10. Not something you typically see. So a very entertaining race on that short oval there. And Gateway, great to see Joseph Newgarden walk away from what was a very ugly crash, maybe the ugliest crash we've seen here in 2025 from IndyCar. Louis Foster hit the wall. I think Newgarden just didn't even see him. He was upside down. Newgarden and AMR safety team was able to flip his car over and eventually get him out there. But yes, Kyle Kirkwood back-to-back, and IndyCar will go back-to-back now here coming up this weekend. Road America, Elkhart Lake up in Wisconsin.
They went international in NASCAR last night. They went to Mexico City. How about that? And Shane Van Gisbergen wins again there on a road course, but they're dipping their toes into the international waters now in NASCAR. How about that?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's all good. Major League Baseball, Cincinnati Reds stayed hot. They beat the Detroit Tigers by a score of 8-4 on the road. Our guy, Elly De La Cruz, KB, a 2-run homer, his 16th of the year to go with 3 RBI. He is, in my opinion, still the most fun player to watch in Major League Baseball.
Some electricity coming from the right arm of Shohei Ohtani as well.
Yeah, he's going to be starting for the Dodgers later on tonight for the first time on the mound since 2023 when he played for the Angels and had to have elbow surgery. They don't expect him to go more than an inning tonight, but they want to get him back into the starting rotation.
He is one of the greatest athletes in the world, so shout out to him for getting back out on the mound.
All right. Also yesterday, Milwaukee Brewers beat the Cardinals by a score of 3-2. The Cubs win again, this time in 10. You can't stop them. They beat the Pittsburgh Pirates by a score of 3-2, Mark. And the Indianapolis Indians also got a win over the St. Paul Saints. 7-3 was the final score there. They will be off today. Anything else you guys want to throw in from over the weekend? The U.S. Open, Kevin?
Hell of a putt from J.J. Spahn there on the 18th hole. Hell of a really Sunday in general. Just carnage galore. I absolutely love that. I love seeing these guys just wilt at our National Open. The final pairing shoots 78 and 79. Absolutely music to my ears. Spahn bogeyed 5 of the first 6. Shot 40 on the front 9. Hell, we all have been there. But then he certainly wrote a different script after that. The rain delay, I don't know if that helped him out. But
he said it did.
A huge, I mean, as great as that putt was on 18, the drive he hit on 17, the drive he hit on 18, that's 2 of the clutchest shots you will see in the U.S. Open. Really cool scene afterwards with his 2 daughters. He's been through quite a lot over the last handful of years in his life. So shout out to J.J. Spahn. For those unfamiliar, I wouldn't call it like the most obscure. Even before this, like I think he was a candidate to be on the U.S. Ryder Cup team. He lost the Players' Championship earlier this year to Rory McIlroy in a playoff, so it's not total obscurity, but definitely not one of the guys that everybody was betting on.
Did you see the alternate angle of his putt?
Those are really
unbelievable.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was not a very straightforward 40-foot putt.
No, it's what did it break, about 8-10 feet, something like that?
Uphill, downhill, breaking a ton to the right there, and I thought Dan Hicks had a great call of setting the scene of he just needs 2 putts to win.
How about one?
And then the emphatic, how about one?
Yeah, that was fun. Also, interesting weekend for Rory McIlroy too. He did some damage to the while the course was doing damage to him. He did some damage to the course. Did you see some of those?
Yes, I did see shatter to tee marker. He seemed very upset. He seems a little off since the old Masters win.
Yeah,
he won the Masters. Should be happy, right?
Yeah, I was watching some of his media sessions, and he just seems
if he just Andrew Lucked it tomorrow, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, part of me is like, do you feel complete at all? Where's the joy in whatever you've accomplished? Because he seems to not be playing with any of that. I'm not saying you're going to go out there and be hunky-dory for every single shot, but It's a little weird right now for Rory.
I almost wonder sometimes, he'd been chasing the Masters for a while. He finally gets the Masters. I wonder if after like 72 hours, he's like, oh, my life really hasn't changed all that much. I don't know. Maybe you chase something for so long, you get it, and it's not everything you thought it was going to be because you'd had so much success in other areas forever. I don't know.
Yeah, again,
he's just been grumpy lately.
Yeah, and he's been bad also as well. Stanley Cup coming up tomorrow night, Game 6, the Panthers. We'll try and close it out there.
No, let's keep that going.
Well, hopefully not, but the Panthers up 3-2 in that series.
We want 7-game overtime, don't we, James? Just from a viewing
I
standpoint?
do know that Charles Barkley wants that because when I was at Prime 47 last week for one of my staff dinners with The Athletic, he was there as well with some of his staff over at ESPN, and he was screaming at the TV when they had forced. I believe when they had forced overtime, so he's excited to hopefully.
You think he's a big hockey fan, or you think he has something?
No,
going on
he sounds like he's a big hockey guy. Like he was telling us that playoff hockey is better than playoff basketball. Like that's how he feels about it. It doesn't sound like he was bluffing.
I'll take Indiana Pacers playoff basketball though anytime. All right, coming up in a moment, we'll talk more about that. Also, big Father's Day and great weekend had by everyone. We'll open up the phone lines for the first time. How you feeling? Pulse of Pacer Nation, how you feeling about tonight's game? 239-1070. We'll talk about it next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Monday, day after Father's Day. I will tell you, KB, I don't know about you, I had the perfect Father's Day yesterday. By the way, my youngest, who I took driving for a while yesterday, did a great job. He's a big James Boyd fan now. He just wants to hang with you all the time.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
He just wants to hang with you all the time.
The Pacers ruined. The real reason why I was, kind of seeing how that game played out, because if the Pacers had won, me and Grant would have been out in the town. We would have been out in the town. So, but yeah, it was cool to see your son. Hope you had a great Father's Day, and obviously some perspective there, because he was kind of seeing you in your element a bit.
I want James to do a driving lesson with Grant. I want that.
I'm telling you, I got 2 rules, and it's great. Remember where the break is, and don't hit anything that's not moving. You'll be fine.
I like that. That I do like. No, it was great. It was the perfect Father's Day because so many sports on. Like for me personally, I woke up and I got my VPN on. I watched the big cycling race that was on yesterday. Nice. That was great. Took a nap for a little while. Woke up, went to brunch with the family. That was fun. Took my youngest son driving, hung out with my oldest for a little while, played some games with him. Took another nap. Ended up watching the last back 9 of the
2 naps. A baker's dozen naps.
This man loves his sleep.
It was perfect.
If it's one thing Jeff Ricker gonna do, he gonna get horizontal. Okay.
Did I hear you went nap pre-brunch?
Yes.
Man, I didn't even know that was possible.
Right. What time were you getting up yesterday?
Dude, this is the first full day off I've had in like 42 days or something.
Nap pre-brunch and then a second nap.
You gonna get like that
awesome.
man's. He
sounds like an
loves
8-month-old baby right now.
I'll take it. Napping is the key to longevity, I'm telling you.
This is true. How was you all's Father's Day?
Yeah, you had a great day, right?
Yeah, we had a great time. No complaints whatsoever. I did very much enjoy, of all things, probably the U.S. Open, going a little Tiger replay there from Torrey Pines during the rain delay.
Did you see there were some national media members that were mad at that?
No.
I
was like, show me more.
Those national media members can kiss my ass.
Thank you.
I thought it was tremendous. Great call by NBC there. So yes, great Father's Day.
And we got about an hour and a half of that, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean we did. Yeah, it was 5:40 they went back on the golf course, and it felt like we had a good time. How about you, Mark?
Yeah.
I took 11 naps. No, went up to Northwest Indiana and Illinois, so we went to Ashley's side of the family on Saturday. So I had some drinks with the father-in-law. That was always good. And then Sunday was with my dad and family and all that. So good times had all around. Hot tubs and pools. Can't complain about that.
Portillo's for dinner for the Bowen household.
I love Portillo's.
I will say this, though. I had to take my grandma to the store yesterday. I'm like, why am I taking you to the store on Father's Day? And she's like, shut up, boy, and come on. I'm like, okay, well, that's how that goes. And this is like our banter because she knows I will always do anything I can for her. So obviously I'm back in town. I'm taking her to the store to get a new Roku remote. And walking through the store, and this lady goes, Happy Father's Day. And my grandma just couldn't help herself. She just yells, he ain't no father. And she was so proud to say that. So, yeah, no Father's Day for me. But I did get to see my parents, saw my sister as well. Mom's birthday was yesterday, so she trumped Dad and Father's Day. And I'll see them a couple days from now, actually, because they're coming down here to Indianapolis. I told them Thursday, though, you're on your own because I'm going to cover Game 6. Should be fun.
That's going to be a lot of fun, as a matter of fact.
Luckily, they got their hotel. I mean, we booked these hotels a couple months ago, not thinking that the Pacers will still be in this thing. And I was like, you guys are so lucky to have had these hotels already booked.
They need to sell that on the black market.
I mean, seriously.
See how much money they can get.
I told them, you don't have to come. I can.
You can make some cash.
Exactly.
No question about that. All right, so we got Game 5 tonight, though, on the road. We'll all be watching that there as the Thunder come from behind and win Game 4. We talked about that at length throughout the first part of the morning. And question really is, Kevin, can the Pacers put that last 4 minutes behind them and pick up where they left off the first 3 quarters of Game 4?
Yeah, I mean, you've responded every time over the last 3 months. We've said the stat routinely. Pacers haven't lost back-to-back games in 3 months. This is just a different loss. This is a different loss. And I guess if you want to continue the challenge, it's a different opponent in a different atmosphere. But I don't really, if I had to rank those 3, reacting from that type of loss, reacting against the Thunder, reacting on the road against the Thunder, the first one outweighs the next 2. The Pacers can beat the Thunder. They've obviously proven that. The Pacers can win in Oklahoma City. They've proven that. But it's that first one of that is the different aspect to it. This is not the loss to Milwaukee. This is not the loss to New York. This is not the loss to Cleveland. You are trying, I guess, 2 losses the next year. You're trying to avoid being down in a series for the first time here throughout the postseason. So exactly how that plays out, I think will be a big storyline. And it's obviously more of a psychological storyline. But if the Pacers are to lose this series, we're going to point back to 3 minutes to go, Game 4. That's what we're going to point back to more than any other moment in the series. I thought James said it really well during the break. Can you make that just a blip on the radar, or does that snowball into another loss?
All right, let's check the pulse of Pacer Nation this morning at 239-1070. We'll start off by talking to Matt. Matt, good morning. We're having a great morning. Looking forward to a great game tonight. How do you feel coming out of Friday night, heading into tonight?
Well, I feel good, guys. Good morning. I mean, I didn't feel great on Friday. I don't know anyone who did. A couple of the fact that it was 11:30 p.m. and we were witness to that, last 3 minutes. But I feel great now. I mean, I feel confident. I feel that this is what champions have to do, right? They have to get up after getting hit, and I think for the first time all playoffs, like Kevin was just saying, this is a different type of loss, but we have a chance to see, if the Pacers can respond. And I go back to, I know it's a different sport, but I go back to, January, 21st in 2007, when the Colts were running into the locker room at the RCA Dome down 21-6. They could have just rolled over, but they didn't. And we have a statue outside of Lucas Oil now because of that, right? And this is what champions do. This is what Tyrese, Pascal, and Miles, Ben, all those guys have the chance to do here, is to showcase not only are they incredible basketball players, but they have that mindset. So I'm hopeful for that, guys. I really am. Just a couple points. I think we can shout till we're blue in the face about the refs and the national media saying all this series is done, but it's not going to do us any good. It's not going to do the team any good. And I think that the main thing is just focusing on what we can change, right? Or what the team can change, not us. But the main things I noticed from Game 4 were the turnovers and the inbounding issues in the end of that fourth quarter. With three main ones. There's one from TJ McConnell, one from Pascal Siakam, and one from I think Miles with 2 minutes left, where right after Thunder baskets or Thunder free throws, they had some pretty poor passes that led to big swings for the Thunder. So I think if you can clean that up with hopefully Miles' issues getting resolved, like you guys have talked about this morning, that'll be really helpful. In addition to stop playing the ISO type basketball that I think kind of doomed them. That wasn't really their brand, but. I guess I'll just end with this, is that it's easy to get sucked into the doomerism and all that, especially after having an extra day or two to stew on it. But, this is 2-2, guys. I mean, it's not 3-1. It's not, 2, we're not going into this game, like it's a winner take all tonight. I mean, this is as far as I'm concerned, it's 0-0. And we have the chance to go back and respond tonight. So, I think if anything, hopefully it just makes the championship DVD look a little bit better. So I'll leave you with that and have a great one, guys.
You too. Matt joining us here on the Pulse of Pacer Nation this morning. Everybody's ready to rebound. Let's go.
Yeah, I thought that Matt made some very good points there. The turnovers are obviously huge throughout that game, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's a writer at all, but, the story gets a little better with some drama, right? And you have drama now. So I would expect the team to respond. They responded all year. And even tonight, I don't know which way this game is going to go. I do think the Thunder will probably pull it out, but I think it's going to be a close game. This isn't necessarily where I don't feel about this game how I felt after like Game 2, where it's like, oh, man, it's 1-1, but did they find something? No, it's 2-2. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, if you just want to play at the Vegas line, I'd be very disappointed and surprised if the Pacers lost by double digits, which, the Vegas line is right there. 9.5 for the Thunder. I mean, this season so far has been a movie. This playoff run has been a movie. Is there a couple more scenes left in it? And if this is going to have the happy ending to that movie, you're going to have one of those scenes be in Oklahoma City to get it done. So, yeah, there is an element, and Jeff, you led off the show with this, there is an element of it's a best of 3. You don't have home court, but it's a best of 3. And yes, you would have signed up for that at any point. You would have signed up for that probably at the start of the series. But having said that, you also can't totally ignore what happened Friday, in that you had a game on your home floor where you hit 10 more threes than your opponent to go up 3-1 in the NBA Finals with a 4-point lead, a 3:20 to go, or a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter, however you want to look at it, and you lost. And that is different. That is a totally different feel to it. You listen to the Pacers talk after the game, listen to the Thunder talk after the game. They both knew full well what a win for either of those franchises meant on Friday night, and the Thunder got it. Do they play with relief? Do the Pacers play with desperation? psychologically, I just think it's a fascinating game tonight.
OKC better be desperate, otherwise they're going to be losing.
All right, let's check in with Scott real quick before we take another break. Scott, you're on the pulse of Pacer Nation. How's your pulse treating you this morning?
Hey, fellas. I get the whole, let's be nice to the refs, but still your line. Respectfully, they can kiss my ass. Honestly. I don't get it. They killed all the momentum. They killed all the momentum we had, and it's cyclical. Like, you get these bad calls. You got FCA doing push-offs and then traveling. Doesn't get a call, but we get ticky-tack calls. That kills momentum. That gets into their head. Completely disagree with it, and I'm the guy with the $100 bet. And honestly, if Vegas would let me cash out now, I would, but they won't let me. It sucks.
All right, buddy, I appreciate the phone call, and I get totally the frustration because I was feeling it on Friday night as well. But I also go back to the fact that Pacers weren't hitting shots. Miles did not play well. They were missing free throws. They were turning the ball. They did a lot of things on their own that really contributed to that loss, JB.
If it's not like Scott's going through it, so I'm thinking of you, Scott, having a rough go at it.
Sounds like he's going through it financially more than anything.
Yeah.
I was going through it Friday night. I'm not going to lie, but I feel better today.
I thought Friday night was just way too inconsistent of a whistle. And
that's fair.
We haven't had a playoff game all series long that rose to that level for both sides. I mean, if you look at it, free throw numbers were pretty even at the end of the game.
Yeah, but as you know, it's like timing and when
right.
calls are made.
And that's what I'm saying. I just felt like in general, the inconsistency of the whistle was too much, too prevalent all throughout that game. And, we talked a little bit about this earlier. I actually think the quieter whistle favors the Pacers. So to me, when you get as clunky of a whistle as you got Friday, it naturally slows the game down. And I think that inevitably contributes to the Pacers being slower with their pace. And that's not good. That's not what the Pacers want. You saw in the fourth quarter. Slow pace, quiet pace, however you want to label it, more of a half-court game. The Pacers really struggled in the fourth quarter. 1 assist in the fourth quarter, had the 3-minute scoring drought in the game's most critical moments. So I think if you are a Pacer fan rooting for a particular whistle tonight, you want consistency more than anything. But if you had to pick a heavily whistle game or a light whistle game, you want the light whistle game.
All right, coming up in a moment, more of the Pulse of Pacer Nation, and we'll get ready to talk to Alex Golden at the top of the hour. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I've got my energy, my enthusiasm back. I am ready to go for Game 5 tonight. I think the Pacers are going to be fine tonight, James. How about that?
I think they will be. I think it'll be another close game. And, again, who can kind of squeeze out the most from the orange at the end. But I don't expect this to be some one-sided affair because outside of Game 2, it just hasn't been that way throughout this series.
KB, you ready to move on from Friday night and get going for Game 5 tonight?
Have you grieved enough?
I am getting there, but it took a while, guys. I can't hide the emotions. You all wanted me to just move on, Saturday morning, or at least Jeff did. I can't.
No, it took me about halfway through the day yesterday.
I believe you said after Game 1 you got to bathe in it. I had to bathe in that. That thing was a gut punch.
No, I think that's when you got to just hit the shower real quick and get the stench off you.
You said you had 2 naps yesterday. I needed about 5 naps if I'm going to get over that one. That thing was brutal.
See, you should nap more often is what I'm telling you. Right there. There's you just made my point.
10 naps in a day, Kevin. You'll be fine.
You'd like Maddie's phone number to try and convince her of that?
Yeah. You just got to do it. You got to ask for forgiveness later.
The mattress is going to get flipped over on you.
I was about to say, I would like Kevin to be alive.
Now, I don't
when
have
our
the
show begins.
I don't have the little ones anymore.
Right now.
I will say this: that did not always happen when I had the little ones. They're bigger now; they can take care of themselves for a little while. So
my parents, obviously having soon to be 30-year-olds, they're not interested in us going back in time at all. So
they already changed your rooms at home, right? They're not your rooms anymore.
Yeah, my dad's moving into the closet in my room. He's got the overflow closet in there going now, and I'm just the kid who stops by every now and then.
That's how it goes. All right, let's go back to the phone lines here for the continuing saga of Pulse of Pacers Nation. Don is up next here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Good morning, Don. Have you moved on from Friday night? You ready to go?
Oh, yeah, I am. And, hey, I agree. Nap more often.
It's the key to life, I'm telling you.
Here's the thing. No one in the history of the world has drowned by falling in water. You only drown because you don't get out. And, you can talk about all the negatives and things like that and all why we shouldn't be able to win, but it doesn't matter. Move on from here. That's the spirit they got to have. Win every quarter. They've outplayed OKC the last 2 games, really, except for the last couple of minutes. So they can close it out. They can do it.
All right. Appreciate that. See, he's ready to go. He's healed up from
Don
Friday
the philosopher. I had to figure out what he was saying for a moment. It took me to church.
You guys think the Pacers are now
right?
Based off what Don said, you guys think the Pacers are now the better team in the series?
I think they're equal. I think they can play.
Or do you point to Oklahoma City was better on their home floor, the Pacers were better on their home floor?
Man, I think the Pacers are the better team through 4 games. Seriously. Not a homer take. And I say this because the way OKC won,
isn't that what they do? You have brought this up a lot today, like they're hero, but they have the MVP.
Yes, but usually they're blowing you out. That's why I feel like they're, a little bit kind of in rare territory. You talked about you want to put them in clutch situations.
Sure.
They were in another one the other night, and they came out on the other side and prevailed. But
that's a great point.
Are you going to bet on that? Like, are you going to bet on SGA, fourth quarter, game's tight, go 1-on-1 and carry us home? And if you can do that for 2 more wins, hats off to you. You're the MVP for a reason. But I don't think that is a very conducive way to win a game. So to me, that's why I'm not panicking. Had they gone out in game 4 and it's like, man, you lost by 15, or they just took a stranglehold in the fourth quarter, you had no chance, you were right there, and they just made a couple more plays than you did. So I don't feel like this is a series where it's automatically like, oh my gosh, it's over, they're going back home, and OKC, they can't win there. No, they can win there.
I'm very interested to see if we get Rick Carlisle, arguably the biggest coaching decision he's had to make all postseason. We have not debated one time the Pacers starting lineup. Oklahoma City's changed their starting lineup twice this series.
He's done that throughout the playoffs, though, too.
Rick?
Degno has done that.
Right, but, this has not been a Pacers thing at all. Should Miles Turner be out on the floor? No. We haven't talked about that. Occasionally we're like, maybe Mathurin, here or there, but that's it. If Turner is going to be as big of a no-show as he was on Friday, on both ends of the floor, I will, I really want to drive that point home. He's shooting poorly. He can't throw it in the ocean. That is quite evident. But when you're not giving it on the other end of the floor, 0 blocks for him in 30 minutes in game 4, 2 rebounds. When he's giving you that, Rick might have his biggest decision here in the postseason. I'm not expecting a starting lineup change, of course, But if this game plays out anywhere near like it did Game 4, you're going to have a decision to make with Obi Toppin.
Well, you play every game now like it's Game 7, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the other thing,
you
too,
throw
Jeff.
everything out there right now.
There isn't a point in this series where I've questioned the Pacers' effort or their focus or things like that. You can question maybe just some of the results. Okay, what kind of happened here, some of the mistakes. But I think that they'll be fine. I think it'll be another close game. And again, if you get them in a close game, that, in my opinion, usually favors the Pacers because they've just shown us time and time again. And that's the other thing that I feel like I have to remind our listeners of, maybe some of the doom and gloom crowd. Have you seen this team all year? Have you seen them since the turn of the calendar into 2025? They haven't given you a reason not to believe they won't respond. And so I just believe that with my eyes.
All right, coming up in a moment, Alex Golden from Setting the Pace is going to stop by, talk about the Pacers, what they need to do to move on from Friday night's game and get ready for Game 5 tonight in Oklahoma City. We'll do it next at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yes, you are. It's another game day for the NBA Finals. Just the way it is these days in Indianapolis, James.
I don't think it'll ever get normal. That is crazy. They're in the NBA Finals. They're tied 2-2. And if they win tonight, this will be officially the closest the Pacers have ever been to an NBA championship because, as we know, in 2000, they only got 2 dubs.
All right. He is James Boyd, along with Kevin Bowen. I'm Jeff Rickard and Mark Dykton. And our next guest is Alex Golden from Setting the Pace podcast. You hear him on the station frequently. He does a fantastic job of covering, documenting, and talking about the Pacers. And Alex, good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Hope you had a terrific Father's Day as well.
Yeah, it was good to celebrate my first Father's Day. I got to be with my grandpa and my dad, so a lot of fun there. But I'm really excited about tonight's game.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about tonight's game. So, what needs to happen differently to make sure that this is more a repeat of games 1 and 3 and not 2 and 4?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to execution at the end, which the Pacers have done a pretty good job all season long and all postseason long of executing. But I felt like they got a little stagnant there in that fourth quarter. Only 1 assist, didn't play their style of basketball. So I think if they can just play their style of basketball for the majority of the game, that's going to be helpful. And then defensively, I think they could be a little bit better, especially how they did things there at the end of the fourth quarter as well. Make a few different tweaks there if we see the SGA Jalen Williams 2-man game where they're trying to get Nembhard off of SGA. Got to figure out a way to maybe make that a little bit more difficult for the Thunder than it was on Friday night. But overall, I mean, I think through 4 games you have to feel pretty good about how the Pacers have played this team and feel confident they could still win this series.
Alex, I think you know that I am usually team, don't blame the refs. However, there was some inconsistency in the calls and a nice little stiff arm from SGA at the end, which was a big bucket. So from your perspective, seriously, how would you put it, like percentage-wise? Like how much of this do you think was on the Pacers not playing their style of play, like you said, versus the refs? Like is it 70-30? Is it 60-40? How do you kind of view it?
Honestly, that little push-off and travel didn't bother me as much as the other stuff that was not called, right? I think, like, we see guys get away with that kind of stuff all the time, so that doesn't bother me. I think Indiana's offense being stagnant was more of a problem than the officiating. Look, if you look at my Twitter, it seems like I'm only complaining about the officiating. That's not the case. I've said it several times on the podcast. Like, the Pacers didn't lose that game because of the officiating. They lost that game because they didn't execute. But I do think that it did kind of slow the pace down a little bit at times. And it did kind of help, I think, OKC early in the first half to stay close because the Pacers were ready to run out of the gym with that. When they were up 20-12 early, it felt like all the momentum was in their way. And then all of a sudden we start getting all these tic-tacky fouls. So I would say more so like 80-20 in terms of like the 20% being the officiating. But even then that might feel like a little bit of a high percentage. So I agree with you, James. I don't think the officiating lost in the game, but I do think that 71 free throws is way too many for a playoff game.
I respect that.
He's the father of Fletcher. Happy belated Father's Day to Alex Golden. We appreciate him hopping on with us here on this Monday morning. Where are you at, if anywhere, on a debate about minutes for Miles Turner versus Obi Toppin?
Yeah, I actually thought that the Pacers should have gone back to Obi Toppin in the fourth quarter a lot sooner than they did. I think Obi Toppin was having a great game, and Miles Turner was really struggling. And so the one thing I will say, and I think this is part of the reason why Carlisle didn't do it, is because Obi Toppin's defense is pretty suspect. And there was a play in the end of the second quarter where Tyrese Halliburton was matched up one-on-one with SGA, and the Thunder said, "Man, we'll take Jalen Williams attacking Obi Toppin." And I think that kind of is problematic for Indiana, just knowing that Obi is not a great defender, where Miles, at least you usually can count on him to be in the right spots defensively. So I think it's more of a read thing for me, KB. And really it just depends on how Obi Toppin plays on the road, because Obi Toppin can be up and down as well. And if Obi's not playing well and Miles isn't playing well, what do you do next? I think, to me, Thomas Bryant's not the answer. And I would almost consider going a little bit more small ball with Siakam at the 5 and then put Mathurin there with that group and see what they can do to kind of match up small ball for small ball, just because I felt like at times with their offense being so stagnant, Mathurin's one of those guys that, hey, if you kick the ball over to him with 6 seconds left, he can at least attack the rim and potentially get fouled. So just throw a little bit of a wrinkle in there. And then rebound-wise, Turner only had 2 rebounds in the last game. Mathurin has proven when he was starting that he can be a rebounding guard and a rebounding forward, so I'm not worried about that. With him and Nesmith crashing the glass as well as Siakam, I think they could still handle the boards okay. So I think that would be something I'm interested in seeing, but we haven't really seen it all postseason long, so I don't expect it, but that would be a nice wrinkle, in my opinion, just to give OKC a different look.
Speaking of Siakam, did you like the overall process from the Pacers late of, hey, if you get Chet on these guards, you need to try and take advantage of those matchups? Or, and again, hindsight is obviously Uber 2020. Or did you feel like, hey, when it slows down like that, get it to one of your best individual playmakers, and while it might not look like a guy taking somebody off the dribble, Pascal Siakam can obviously go get you a bucket?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with them trying it a few different times, but I felt like they just kept going back to the well too often, and that's where maybe you change it up. I mean, we've seen Carlisle do this several times throughout the regular season, even some of this postseason, where he'll call a post-up play for Siakam versus whoever's guarding him, and I felt like they didn't do that in this game. So I felt like, yeah, maybe if you try it 2 or 3 times and you're not getting anywhere, then you go to Siakam, try to force something there on the block. But I also think that OKC, it wasn't just Chet, right, that was doing a great job defensively. If you look at that possession with about 27 seconds left, Halliburton tries to take Chet one-on-one, but you've got SGA and J-Dub right there shading both sides, the left and the right, so Halliburton really had nowhere to go. And so to me, it was more so the help defense that was helping Chet, as well as, you know, instead of just leaving him on an island, because I think him on an island, you trust Halliburton in those situations. But their help defense was phenomenal to me, OKC's, and that stretch. So I just think, yeah, try it, but I think Siakam has been Mr. Reliable throughout the entirety of this year, so you probably need to go to him before you're just relying on Halliburton to do everything.
Alex Colton setting the pace, joining us here on the Fan Morning Show. One of the things I thought that Oklahoma City did well in Game 4 is they relieved some pressure off of SGA. Like, they didn't make him bring the ball up all the time. Jalen Williams was doing more of that. I know it's not a ton, but they decreased his minutes by 2, gave him a little bit extra rest when he was sitting down. What can the Pacers do tonight to try and increase that pressure again and make him work harder?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, if you look at the first 3 quarters of the game, I think SGA was a minus 16 on the floor. So I think Andrew Nembhard's been doing a great job doing what he does, but they found something there, obviously, in that fourth quarter where they were able to attack and get Aaron Nesmith switched onto him. And we know Aaron Nesmith is more prone to foul players than Andrew Nembhard. I think what they've been doing for the most part has been pretty good. I just think if we see that adjustment once again where they try to play that 2-man game, do we maybe see Siakam guard Jalen Williams versus Aaron Nesmith? Because I feel like Siakam has done a better job defensively on SGA when switched on to him than Aaron Nesmith has this entire series, which is a little bit surprising for me to say that. But Nesmith has struggled in that matchup, and I really don't think Nesmith has played great defense on J-Dub as well. So maybe you play Siakam on J-Dub and put Nesmith on a big, or maybe even put him on like a Lou Dort or a Caruso or something like that. But I just think defensive pressure-wise, you got to just keep doing what you're doing. I think Andrew Nembhard's been terrific defensively, and I wouldn't change too much up because the Pacers, like Kevin said multiple times, were just minutes away from being up 3-1. So I think they've found something that's working.
Alex, to piggyback off of that thought, you know, we've had some callers come in this morning, and it's doom and gloom. You know, the sun will never rise again. So do you have some positive things you can look at and say, this is why this series has been perhaps as even as it has, and they can go win in tonight in OKC?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people, and maybe you guys were in the same boat. I don't know if KB was, but everybody was saying, oh, whoever wins Game 4 wins the series. And I really felt strongly about that before the game started. But then I saw the way the Pacers lost Game 4, and it kind of changed my perspective on things. I think Indiana is capable of winning a game in OKC to win this series still. I don't think they're completely out of it like a lot of people are predicting. And I just think they've found ways to attack this defense. And if I'm looking at it from an Indiana perspective, OKC's changed their lineup twice in the starting 5. They're the ones that have been adjusting so much to Indiana because Indiana's been finding all the cracks in their foundation. So I think if you're the Pacers, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, you got to play at a high level. This is why you're playing against the MVP, a team that won 68 regular season games, one of the best defenses in the league. But I think at the end of the day, the Pacers have been playing as good a basketball as OKC has all postseason long and really since January 1st. So I would say Pacer fans, I know it seems like doom and gloom, and obviously you'll come back to that if they don't win this series, but I still think there's hope because this team has proven time and time again that when their back's up against the wall, they play their best, and I'm expecting a very good effort from Indiana tonight.
Yeah, Alex, I was not in the camp of winner Game 4 wins the series. I didn't view it.
You did call that early, KB.
Of that magnitude, but boys, I can't lie. The nature of that loss, I mean, Alex, I hate to paint this analogy, and I've probably done it too many times this morning, but that was a kick square to the you-know-what, and I thought all I needed was a minute to get back to normal. and I've needed about 7 minutes to get back to normal. I mean, that was I don't know. It's just, I'm probably overblowing some of this analogy here, but it had a little bit of I know it's not the same nature, but like for our audience, like a little bit of Colts Steelers back in the playoffs. I mean, obviously the Super Bowl against the Saints is at a whole nother level, but it just had kind of that feel. When you get so close to the theoretical finish line and it's ripped from you like that, and you've been the one ripping it from the other team so often, maybe all that's contributing to it. So I'm going to stand by what I said prior to the game, Alex, but I can't ignore just the overall feelings from how Friday night ended.
You know what's really funny is, I mean, I know I've got a credential and things like that. I'm not unbiased. I'm a very biased media member. I'm all Pacers. I'm pulling for the Pacers. There's no doubt about it. And I'm a fan first, right? Like, I try not to be just a fan first, but I am. And I didn't feel that same gut punch. I don't know why, but after the game was over, I was like, dang, they let that one go. It was more of a aw shucks type thing for me. Not one of those, oh my gosh, I can't believe we lost this. Now we're going to lose the series. I don't know why. I didn't feel that nervous about it. And maybe it's because this team has proven all postseason long that they can pull these things out when it doesn't seem like it's going to be great. And maybe I should be more concerned, but I just feel like the way that Carlisle, Siakam, and Halliburton talked at the podium after the game, they didn't really seem to be doom and gloom. They didn't really seem to be worried about the situation, and they seemed pretty confident and excited to come back for Game 5. So, you know, maybe I'm just trying to see things with a glass half full, but I wasn't as nervous as I normally am or worried as I normally am, and usually that's not the case for me. So I was a little bit surprised, like, man, what has this Pacers team done to me that I don't feel like, oh my God, like, this is a kick in the you-know-what after that loss. But I feel confident this team can beat OKC, and I feel like they've found some cracks in the foundation. Like I said, I think they're beatable.
So, Alex, is part of your confidence being that you chose the Pacers to win this series, and you know who chose OKC, but he was playing solitaire during the game, so maybe he doesn't know what's going on?
Oh man, I mean, what a character, right? Oh my goodness.
I used the word clown earlier. Character could have been the other word to use, but I think Stephen A. Smith's the clown.
He is a clown. I'm not going to lie. I love that Pat McAfee was making fun of him. And I watched Stephen A. Smith's face when he did that, and Stephen A. was cracking up. So I think Stephen A. is more like a wrestling promoter himself. He just gets on the television set to just spew nonsense, and he doesn't really care. I think he just cares about the ratings. And then, like, the thing that kills me is when he's like, oh, Halliburton, you would have said this about me? You know, we'll see. It's like he's always going to have the last word, because when's he going to mess up, right? He's not the one out there missing a game winner or things like that, so he can always come back to that. But, yeah, I mean, I did pick the Pacers in 6. It could go 7. It wouldn't surprise me if it does. I think it's probably more likely to go 7 than Indiana wins in 6. But at the end of the day, Stephen A. Smith, man, just play solitaire and Kendrick Perkins, I mean, he had his arms folded the entire time watching the game. He looked like he was a sick little puppy out there watching the Thunder get beat for the majority of the game. So I didn't watch any of the post-game show or pre-game show, and I feel like I'm better off because I didn't.
Yeah, that's almost as good as taking a nap every day, avoiding those post-game shows on ESPN.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have not watched hardly any time of it. I think I maybe tuned in before Game 2 when Shams was reporting about Miles, and that's probably the extent of my paying attention to the pregame, postgame shows from ESPN. Pretty laughable.
Yeah. Honestly, for me in the postgame, I'm just paying attention to the postgame press conferences. I'm interested in what the coaches and the players have to say. I don't really care what the commentators have to say.
We got Eddie White on our airwaves to listen to, right?
Eddie's terrific.
Yeah, I mean, why would you want to listen to that? I mean, I felt like Bob Myers was over there telling Stephen A. What he was seeing from the game, and I feel like that was kind of like his analysis was like, okay, I'll trust what Bob says and just kind of go with that, so we're all in agreement here. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of like watching body language and watching what they're doing. But, yeah, I think the post-game press conferences probably tell you a little bit more. But, I mean, we already know what's going to happen when the Pacers lose. Tyrese Halliburton's going to play all the hits. I think he played all the hits in the first question that he was answered. The first question he answered was like all 5 things that he normally says. So I don't really get too much out of that either. I just think that what we see the next game is usually both teams making the proper adjustments to make this a tougher game. Or a different game. So I've been enjoying just the back and forth. I think the strategy has been really fun to watch between both coaches too.
Alex, thanks as always for stopping by. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, and hopefully the Pacers pull one out tonight.
All right, we'll see. It starts at 8:30 or just thereafter tonight. 8 o'clock for the network broadcast with Pat Boylan, and, of course, the play-by-play with Mark and Eddie, and JMV will be going from 3 to 8 again today. We'll all be helping him out when we can. And Jake's got a very unique take from noon to 3. I thought Jake has been fantastic during this NBA Finals. His just love of the city and having, like you, Kevin, grown up here and truly feeling what it means to have gone a lifetime of getting to this point and remembering how it went in 2000. I think it's been fantastic.
Yeah, I guess to kind of build off that, the nature of Friday night's loss, comparing it to a Colts loss, obviously the biggest difference between the two sports is it's not a one-and-done format.
Mm-hmm.
So when Mike Vanderjagt hits the field goal that, hit the red garter, then, it was over. When Hank Baskett doesn't recover the onside kick.
That's the best drop you've had in weeks right there.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I'm rubbing off on you, Kevin.
Gosh. That was funny.
Hopefully you're not the red guard or rubbing off anything
Yeah.
on me. When, obviously you lose it, or when the onside kick to start third quarter goes the other way against the Saints, that, of course, is the biggest moment. I don't know, maybe a Game 7 if and when that happens. That is the win or go home, literally, in the NBA Finals. But that was brutal. I mean, I can't ignore it.
It's so 48 hours ago right now, though. Let's go.
It's our first show since then.
I know.
Am I supposed to not talk about it?
No.
Am I supposed to ignore it?
I've moved on.
It's like the candy man.
Am I supposed to have fake feelings?
I've moved
I'm
on.
going to be honest with you. Like, that was an absolutely crushing
I'm trying to
loss.
help you here.
Can you imagine the feeling right now if you're up 3-1? You imagine the different feeling if you are up 3-1 with 3 chances, including one on your home floor. 3 chances, including one your home floor, to win the NBA championship versus you've got to go to a place where, yes, you've done it once. Can you do it again? You've got to respond from a different type of loss. I think that is something that, Tyrese Halliburton said, and Mark made a great intro here. How do you not let this spiral into 2? Of all the losses you've had over the last 3 months, the team hasn't lost 2 straight in 3 months. This is the hardest challenge yet. And again, maybe that just means one more scene for the movie. Maybe this just makes it even a greater story, all of it. But I can't sit here and act like this is just like recovering from a Knicks loss, or just like recovering from a Cavaliers loss, or just like recovering from a Bucks loss. You hit 10 more threes than them at home, and you still lost.
This is where the conspiracy theorists really, really come on and go full-throated, because they know the NBA didn't have 2 big market teams, so the only way to recoup money is to have an extended series. They call Scott Foster the extender, because he always seems to show up in games that will extend a series for
the
whoever's
is a
behind.
crazy nickname, too.
And even the conspiracy theorists will tell you they don't care. It's not the NBA cares whether it's Oklahoma City or Indiana. They just want 7 games.
Yeah.
They just want 7 games.
I thought of the Steph Curry's wife when she put out the tweet, "This is absolutely rigged for money." And I'm like, if it's rigged for him, it's been rigged very well. But in all seriousness, I don't think, again, this is a game, even though that ending was a gut punch like you wouldn't believe. That wasn't a game where I thought, oh my gosh, this series is over. I did not think
let me
that.
be very clear.
And I'm not saying you're saying that.
I don't think that. But I also just want to summarize kind of my general emotional feel,
which is fair,
from Friday into Saturday into Sunday. And Will Haskell just texted me, and I'm nodding my head at it. He goes, "I'm 1,000% with you. I'm still depressed from Friday night. Only us lifers can understand that." The final sentence.
I mean, there's probably some truth to that. I mean, I don't feel the pain of the city,
just a general
obviously.
nature. And I brought up 2000 Kobe Game 4 in the finals. I don't know. Maybe it's that a little bit that's still alive. But 3-1 opportunities in the NBA Finals do not grow on trees.
I was caring.
In games where you hit 10 threes more than your opponent,
I
don't think we should look over that stat. I'm still waiting for the Pacer big 3-point game. But Oklahoma City just became the first team in NBA Finals history to win a game with 3 threes or less. The first team in NBA Finals history to do that. And it's not like the foul line was that big of a difference. The foul line was a lot closer than I think people realize.
It was more about timing, though, I think.
Right. But so here's my thing. Besides me having to carry Kevin out of the arena, Friday night with tears in his
Golden
eyes.
Should have been like, "Do you need hugs outside of the arena?" He seemed much more willing to, because I would have walked in line and got back in line and got back in line.
Was there a lot of alcohol at home when you got home Friday night?
I was going to say,
needed a lot. I needed an ice pack on the what.
I will remind Will of this, though, yesterday. The guy who won the U.S. Open shot a 40 on the front 9.
And he came back and won.
So I'm saying.
Again.
That's all I'm saying.
I do get that, though. Like, if you would have exited Friday and gone up 3-1, today would have been house money. We would have been talking, Kevin's got the Speedo on, we're planning the route, where's the parade going to be? Like, you're playing with house money these last 3 games.
I thought Shea had the best quote post-game on the floor. We know what the alternative was going to be. We know what 3-1 means. Like, Shea couldn't have said it, I thought, better. Ashley, right here, that Game 4 loss had me rethinking why I even watch sports and care. Hurt my soul. I think that is a general premise that a lot of people had. Yes, it's Monday at 9:21, and the Pacers have a great opportunity here, but they had a golden Alex Golden, gold out, however you want to describe it, opportunity on Friday night.
It's time for a golden checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We all need to get a gold grill. What do you think, guys?
Like
cooking meat or from putting
Let's
rapper?
go. Let's go.
Is James Johnson in studio?
I'm about to say, I do want a gold grill like James Johnson now.
There you go. The Indiana Pacers play Game 5 of the NBA Finals in Oklahoma City tonight, all tied up at 2. Game time just after 8:30. We'll have the pregame for you at 8 p.m. with Pat Boylan, and then, of course, JMV and crew will be on the air from 3 to 8, and we'll have a great day for you as well. Jake's going to be on the air from noon to 3. We got you for another 35 minutes or so. Looking forward to it, and I'm all optimistic about how things can go for the Indiana Pacers tonight.
The sun came up today, okay, Pacers fans? I promise you. But, yes, it was a gut-wrenching loss Friday night. Great opportunity tonight in OKC. You've won there before. And, again, outside of those 4 minutes, man, I feel like through 4 games, the Pacers have shown that they are the better team, and at least a team that will hang with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And, again, they got a lot of pressure on their shoulders. I thought Alex pointed that out very, very well. They still have a lot of pressure. They're in the weird they're at the weird stage of their era, if you will, of, like, are they young and inexperienced, or are they young and they don't know any better? Because the way they finished Game 4, they're young and they don't know any better.
Yeah.
Especially SGA. You know, that I think is something to keep an eye on. But certainly, I mean, there's plenty of pressure on Oklahoma City tonight as well.
All right, let's check the U.S. Open from yesterday. J.J. Spahn endured the toughest test in golf on the toughest course in America, and he did it in horrific conditions. They outlasted weather. They outlasted an electricity delay. They kept talking about, have you ever heard broadcasters talk, instead of just saying lightning, a lot of electricity in the air?
Tarico's trying to win an Emmy with some of those comments there. I love Bobby McIntyre giving the nice clap from the scoring tent when J.J. Spahn hit that putt. This might be a little too golf nerdy for me. The putt was incredible. It's a scene you'll see on U.S. Open highlight reels for years to come. The drive on 17 and 18.
Unbelievable.
Grande Onions, Tyrese Halliburton celebration. I don't know which drive was better, the one on 17 or 18. If either of those drives do not end up in the fairway or end up on the green in 17, there's no putt on 18 like that. So incredible from J.J. Spahn there to close it out. And, yeah, hell of a story. Bogeyed 5 his first 6, 40 on the front 9. Great U.S. Open story.
His first major. Congratulations to him. On Saturday, Caitlin Clark back on the floor over at Gainbridge Fieldhouse after missing 5 games with a strained quad, JB. 7 3-pointers, scoring a season-high 32 points in a return from a 5-game absence. And we saw a flurry in the second quarter where it literally looked like a video game, just pulling up from 30 feet time after time, three threes in 38 seconds at one point.
Yeah, she is, I'm trying to quantify it or put it into words, but Caitlin Clark is her own phenomenon. Like, she is someone you just have to appreciate, because this has not happened very long. And honestly, the way I looked at it, you all, and I was telling my parents this because I was telling them, I was like, hey, you see what Caitlin Clark did? She is a Hall of Famer if she stays healthy. And I don't know if I've said that about any player, a year and some change into their career. That's how good she is. That's how great she is. And I feel like that might be hyperbolic for most players, but barring injury, that is a Hall of Famer you're looking at. One of the best players ever. So, she came back with the bang yesterday.
Even as a Hall of Famer, she weighed in on Oakmont yesterday to tie the two stories together. She said, is Oakmont even fun to play? I'd shoot 130 easily. And then Brock chimed in and said, not Jeff Rickard, right?
Did Brock chime in for that?
Yes, he did.
Go
yes,
Brock.
He did.
I will say, though, the shooters tend to be some of the better golf players. It's a hand-eye coordination thing, I guess, because Steph Curry is like, I think he's almost like a scratch golfer or something like that.
He's really good. They will play Connecticut, the Fever will, at home tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Also, we've only had 2 winners on the IndyCar circuit all year long. Kyle Kirkwood keeps that going yesterday as he gets the win at the Bomarito Automotive Group 500. Did You watched some of that last night, right?
I did, yeah. I thought it was a great race. I always enjoyed that Gateway race. I love that they put them in prime time. Honestly, I think that's something IndyCar should explore, especially when you get the U.S. Opens that are not in the Western time zone. If you can get that night of Father's Day, I think that's a great idea from them. Terrific race, tons of theater in that race, great parity in the top 10. You have 9 of the top 10 spots from different teams. No Penske in the top 10. Joseph Newgarden did walk away from a horrific crash. Looked very, very bad. But yeah, Kyle Kirkwood is your winner and Pato Award. He's been the bridesmaid a whole lot here in 2025. He is your runner-up.
All right, yesterday in baseball, Cubs win in 10 innings over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cincinnati Reds got past the Detroit Tigers. Ellie De La Cruz, another big game, 2-run home run and 3 RBI. And we also saw the St. Louis Cardinals lose to Milwaukee by a score of 3-2. Indianapolis Indians finished up a homestand last night. They beat the St. Paul Saints by a score of 7-3. They are off tonight. Anything else you want to throw in?
We'll wait one more for hockey. Game 6 coming up tomorrow night. It was the Panthers winning in Edmonton in Game 5 there. We didn't have the late third period drama that we have had in this series so far, but the Fighting Brendan Kings, the Panthers are up 3-2 now. Chance to finish it off on home ice.
It's coming up tomorrow night. All right, coming up in a moment, we will head down the stretch of this program, get it back to a Pulse of Pacer Nation. You want to get in and give us your thoughts and your thoughts on how things are shaping up for Game 5. I want to hear whether you're still carrying around that loss on Friday night or if you've moved on and you're just ready to go for another Pacer victory tonight in Game 5. Give us a call, 239-1070. It's the Fan Morning Show at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show. We're going to be talking about a Victory Tuesday tomorrow morning, or am I getting ahead of myself right now, JB?
I think you have a strong possibility of that happening. Like I said, this series has been even so far. I don't think the Pacers are going to go to OKC and just cower under the pressure of Game of Fame 5. I think this is going to be a slugfest tonight.
By the way, if you have the means and you're trying to take advantage of people feeling down about the series, if you want Game 6 tickets, prices have fallen considerably.
Oh,
have you looked?
Yeah,
it's like $400 to get in the door.
Oh.
And again, if you are the optimistic Pacers fan that thinks it's going to get done tonight, buy them now.
Yep.
I might be rushing to the internet right after the show here.
Because can you imagine if the Pacers have a 15-point lead with 2 minutes to go tonight?
Yeah.
How that ticket is going to change?
I was just curious, and I looked. I was like, wow, those have, I think it was 800 before, so it's dropped in half, basically.
Yeah. I sent a screenshot of those initial prices before the series started to my wife, who was like, hey, check out tickets, see if we can go. And I sent that to her, and she said, that's a no.
You'd be like, it's Father's Day weekend. She's like, I'll give you a couple naps instead. All right, I'll take you up on that.
We'll see if that changes things just a little bit. We'll wait and see. But really looking forward to see the adjustments that Rick and the team make tonight. And I think one thing I do know, you cannot let Oklahoma City get off to a really fast start and get that building rocking and get it going and let all those guys, Jalen Williams and SGA and Caruso, get into their element, because that could be trouble right there, James.
Certainly, but at the same time, I think on the flip side, it's like it could be trouble for OKC if Benedict Mathurin gets back going, or if Miles Turner makes a couple threes and impacts the game defensively at the very least, like he didn't do in Game 4. So there's a lot of factors, and I guess that's what Alex Golden was telling us earlier in the 9 o'clock hour. This series has kind of been a chess match, and we saw, the Thunder kind of go checkmate in Game 4, but Game 5 is a new entity.
Well, let's hope it's an entity that smiles on the fortunes of the Indiana Pacers. Look, they've been terrific so far. It's the first time. Look, they lost 2 games to the New York Knicks. They ended up winning that series. So it's not, all is not lost.
Yeah, I think, I guess the pushback there would be like, well, this ain't the Knicks, but at the same time, they're right there. I did not feel like after that game, even immediately after the game, when all of us are kind of like, what the heck just happened? One of my biggest takeaways was seriously, OKC won this game, but that to me felt like they survived rather than they took a stranglehold on the series. That to me was not a championship, we just knocked you down and now the ref's coming in to count, can you get back up? That to me was like a body shot, and you got to give one back. So that's how I feel about the rest of this series.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out a little bit later on tonight.
I promise you the sun came up, Kevin.
Here's the bottom line, though. I like that 9. If I'm a Pacer fan, I like the 9.5 point spread tonight.
Hell, I liked 6.5 on Friday night until the most excruciating. That was the most excruciating betting ending to a close.
It was
of an
missed
NBA
free
game.
throws that got you there.
I'm gonna have to hug Kevin after the show.
Yeah, that was one for our Pacer diehards and our gambling diehards out there. It's a little thing from Friday night, and again, hindsight is beyond 2020. But I think back to all those times the Pacers had it at 8 and 9 and 10 and didn't push it further. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma City, they had I'm trying to think how the third quarter ended. Didn't they cut it? I think it was maybe 10, and I think they had a shot to end the third quarter or late in the third quarter. It's just one of those where oh no, now it's 7. And 7 just sounds different to me than 10. And, it's probably the same we said on the flip side of it when the Pacers did it to Oklahoma City in Game 1, but that had a bit of a feel to it as well.
Yeah, and it started to get tight with about 7:50 to go. All of a sudden, you were talking about ties and 2-point games and things like that, and that's kind of where, I don't know about you, but I felt pretty good about being in a tight game at home against Oklahoma City with about 7 minutes to go in that game, Kevin.
It was weird because that final media timeout occurred when Neesmith was at the foul line, and these media timeouts are so long in the finals. And it's like you get back from that, and then in a snap of a finger, walk into the break, it's like, oh, yeah, the Pacers are going to win this game. And then in a snap of a fingers, those final 3 minutes play out. And it obviously, goes to 180. I don't know. It's just so jarring. But, Jeff, you are right in how you let off the show. Here you are waking up on a Monday morning on June 16th and you have a best of 3 to win it all. Hell, you have a game tonight. If you win the basketball game that's being played tonight, you have a chance to clinch in your home floor on Thursday, which is a rather wild statement. The emotional hangover, we'll see, but that statement is very true.
All right, Mark, we have somebody wanting to play pace. What do we got? Pulse of play. No, we'll delay the break real quick.
Martin,
you're up next here on the Pulse of Pacers Nation this morning. Where are you at? You still got a hangover from Friday night, or are you all in on tonight's game?
Hangover ended about yesterday morning. Yeah,
okay.
Yesterday morning I was back at it. Pacers in 7. If they won, I was there. If they won on Friday night, Pacers would have been the favorites. Everybody knows they haven't been the favorites in anything all postseason. I don't think they're going to win the whole thing being the favorites. I think unfortunately, they lose tonight, win back here at home. They roll the ball out on Sunday, and I think the Pacers get it on Sunday night. That's what I think. And KB, I want to piggyback on what you said because I was looking at the guy next to me on Friday night. Pacers had 3 straight possessions where they stopped the Thunder, 2 missed free throws, and then no bucket and no bucket. And the lead was at 10. Then at halftime, it's down to 7. It could have easily been 14, 15, even 16 points. And that 6 or 7 point swing just was really crucial, I thought, and definitely not good. I didn't go into halftime feeling really good about it because it could have been and should have been a lot more.
Yeah, you just played with fire. You played with fire. And again, I know hindsight is very, very 20/20 from that, but we saw it played out from there. And Martin's got the movie script. I mean, Martin's got a loss tonight and still winning the series. I mean, that's the ultimate movie. The only thing missing, I mean, this has been literally a Hollywood season, the climactic endings to games, the massive comebacks. The only thing missing is what we all call our, the favorite 2 words in sports, and that is a Game 7. Obviously, the Pacers don't have to go to 7 if they win tonight and they win on Thursday, but I don't think it's over, but I can't ignore the hangover. Martin said he got over it yesterday morning.
Are you there yet? I've been trying hard to bring you out of it today.
Yeah,
are you there yet?
I need one more meal.
I'll buy. Where do you want to go for lunch?
One more meal.
All right. Coming up in a moment,
you're gonna give me the beef and broccoli from Cluster Truck. Is that what you're gonna give me?
That fixes everything.
Cures all.
That fixes everything.
Get in my belly.
Yes. Let's go. All right. Quick timeout. Scotty's stat of the day coming up in a moment. Time for another phone call or two as we take the pulse of Pacer Nation this morning here, getting ready for Game 5 of the NBA Finals. You'll hear it live right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Everything was going so well. Having a great conversation, getting ready to go for Game 5 tonight. Kevin brought up the beef and broccoli, and that's all I can think about now, Kevin.
Oh, my God.
That's all I got. That's all I got from here until the next 5-6 minutes. That's all I got.
Shout out to Cluster Truck. The Dunk Fest available for you tonight with a NBA Finals game, if you like that. It's a great deal up on their site. So that's clustertruck.com here locally.
All right.
Fan promo code.
There you go. In the meantime, time for Scotty J to have his moment with the Jiffy Lube stat of the day. Jiffy Lube is Indiana's favorite oil chain since 1985. Gentlemen, the Pacers and the Thunder square off tonight in Oklahoma City with the NBA Finals tied at 2 games apiece. We all know that. Maybe what we didn't know, though, is 3 of the 4 games in the Finals have included fourth-quarter comeback wins. For the first time in NBA Finals history, there have been 3 wins by teams trailing by 5 or more points entering the fourth quarter. Previous to this series, teams were 29 and 278 when trailing by 5+ points entering the fourth quarter. If you're wondering how important tonight's Game 5 is, the Thunder are 11-2 all-time in best-of-7 series when taking a 3-2 lead. Pacers are 11-1 in the best-of-7 series when taking a 3-2 lead. So history that I think for Oklahoma City probably also includes some Sonics history, I'm guessing, Scotty. Maybe I'm wrong there, but it's pretty important to win tonight.
Thought I saw from an NBA Finals standpoint, when we've had a Finals matchup tied at 2-2, the winner of Game 5 is 23-8 all-time in winning that series. And again, as Scotty points out here, the Pacers have responded. They've won 10 straight games following a loss. Scotty points out it's the second longest such streak in franchise history. Very fittingly, the longest streak occurred in that 98 season, which many believe is the best Pacers team of all time.
Yeah, and here's the exact quote from the text that I received from one of my buddies last night, right after the U.S. Open. I thought, oh, he's going to talk to me about this incredible, comeback in the U.S. Open. No, said, if I'd have told every Pacer fan on Christmas morning that in 6 months we're going to be playing for an NBA title, and if we win 2 of 3 games, we win the title, I saw no excitement today compared to last week. Wow, come on, we got this.
It's on and popping tonight, man. I'm telling you, it's going to. I believe this will be a close game. It'll go down to the wire and go either way. And the reason why, for nothing else other than just stubbornness, the Pacers don't do anything to make me think that whatever I'm thinking is the right way to think. So basically, what I'm saying is, with them, they've done so much crazy stuff this season where I'm like, all right, if for no other reason than this should not happen, I will pick them to be competitive because I've counted them out so many times, myself personally. This isn't the fan base, but just me talking. I've said, oh, you're going to lose to the Cavaliers. Oh, this game against, the OKC, you're not going to win the first 2 games. It does not matter. They just find a way to stay in it. If they stay in it, they have a shot. And I do think they have a really good shot. And I don't think that the way the Thunder won, again, to hammer that part home, is a way that they can bank on winning the rest of the series. To me, that was, hey, we survived, kind of like the Pacers did in Game 1. And now, again, it's been a very even series outside of those, that quarter in Game 4 and that shot in Game 1 has been even.
Yeah, I'll stand by what I said going into Game 4. I didn't believe the winner of Game 4 was a lock to win the series. I still feel that way. I still think the Pacers can go down there and win. But 2 things from Friday night that, as I've said all morning long, I can't ignore. It's not just the ending to the game. That was the Pacers got pacered in the final 3 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
And that's different. Yeah. That is new. But, guys, we haven't really touched on it a whole lot. You made 10 more three-pointers than them. The Oklahoma City Thunder won an NBA Finals game.
They shot 18%
by hitting
from 3.
the fewest threes in the history of a Finals game for a winner. They made 3 threes in an NBA game. A team made 3 3-pointers and won.
So here's my argument, though, against this, because how many times we said the Pacers are the first team to do this in the history of the sport?
I know. It is crazy.
It is what it is. Like, they're just none of these games are going to be normal. They're going to do something tonight, and we're going to be like, this is the first time since, basketball was invented by James Naismith this has happened. And I'm not going to be surprised because that's what they've done. And then finally, the Pacers were on the other side of this history, but I think they have a really good reason to feel confident. And then also think about what's happened after they lose. They respond every time.
Here's the crazy thing, and it seems kind of obvious. We've talked about it a little bit before, but I'm going to hammer it home again today. throughout the entire playoffs and really largely through all of the regular season, there is a flashpoint offensively for the Indiana Pacers. If they score 110 points, they're going to win the basketball game. If they don't score 110 points, they're probably going to lose the basketball game. It's just the way it's been. I don't know why, but that seems to be almost a black and white definitive marker on wins and losses.
It probably speaks to what their offensive process looks like in their ball movement, the involvement of others. I mean, it's hard not to score 110 if you got 5 or 6 guys in double figures, which is usually when the Pacers are playing their best basketball. So I wrote this the other night after Game 4, and I said, this could haunt you for a few days if you still deliver an NBA Finals, championship, first one in franchise history, or it could haunt you for a lifetime if that was your best shot and you blew it. So we'll see some mental fortitude from this team. But to me, I think right now you can't be looking in the rear view saying, oh, we coulda, shoulda, woulda. We as, I guess, the media members and fan base can do that. But as players, hey, it's Game 5, and that's it. All that matters right now.
All right. Thanks so much for paying attention to us for the last 3 hours. You'll have ESPN for the next 2 hours. And then Jake Query from noon to 3, JMV from 3 until 8.